Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we give you coverage of the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Season 6 playoff racing time. We are entering the round of 8. We have 2 races before we figure out our final 4. Then we'll race at Homestead to take the Season 6 championship. But tonight, the drivers test their skills at a track that comes with a lot of history, but also a first time running this configuration of this track. Welcome to Legacy, Texas, a racetrack that these drivers know can bring a show, as it's the ISRC Legacy Texas 150 here this evening. Once again, thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up is going to be Zach Hall. And Zach, the playoffs continue. We're down to just 8 drivers that are still hunting for the championship.
What an exciting time it is, Sam. This is going to be fun to watch. And, you know, a legacy track like Texas, this is going to be very interesting. These drivers, not a lot of experience, not a lot of history to go back off of. But I tell you what, they have done is put it into practice this week because they know how critical that first race of this round can be. So starting your round of 8 off is very important to start off with a bang.
One driver is in the most comfortable seat entering tonight. That's going to be Nick Crawford, coming off of sweeping the last round. Each win, 5 bonus points, and now with winning the last 2 races, he's got 10 bonus points entering this round. The other 7 drivers that made it to the round of 8, they all start on equal footing, and like I said, tonight going to be very important. We got a couple of storylines that are going to be probably pretty massive moving forward after tonight, but crazy to think we are in the round of 8 here at Legacy, Texas, and then next week the drivers head to Iowa before we have Homestead in 3 weeks. It's going to be a fun time of racing. But Zach, the storylines, big ones. 2 of our championship contenders going to be having some off races, you could say. Christopher Norris, Cedric Hunter, not going to be having the most friendly time for this round of 8 running for themselves.
That it is. And also, I even have a little bit of concerns. I got a little bit of news coming into tonight that the 74, our points leader, Nick Crawford, a little bit under the weather. So he's dealing with definitely some conditions that he wouldn't want to be dealing with, I know. And he's going to try to tough it out as far as he can go. Hopefully, we're crossing our fingers that he can get to the end of the race tonight and, you know, get out of here with still decent points to have that shot when we go to Iowa. But yeah, possibly 3 of our contenders, you know, going to be in interesting positions. I know Christopher Norris, like you said, he's going to miss Iowa. So he's kind of coming in here tonight with that must-win. Cedric Hunter's going to do a starting part tonight just to get a point due to missing tonight's race. So lots of stuff on the line. And it's kind of even opened up the door for other drivers to say, hey, this could be my first shot at a Final Four contention.
And some drivers having their first ever round of 8 showing. Those drivers being Justin Campbell and Jarrett Talmadge. Both drivers have shown their own different strengths entering into this round, and I think the Cinderella story of making it to this round has to be Jarrett Talmadge, who's had a history of trying to make it to the round of 8. He's finally made it, and we'll see if he continues to show some great consistency to be part of our final 4 and try to run for a championship. But all eyes also have to be on this driver, the 15 of Vincent Sora. What speed will Vinny have? Because for all drivers, this is now the new version of the trucks. Zach, major changes to the truck series. After last week's race, it was the last time we were going to see the old model of the trucks. iRacing, massive update last Tuesday.
That is very true, Sam. This is about as big as update as you can get for a car, in my opinion, with just how monumental it's changed the landscape of how it drives and how it's going to race on the racetrack. I'm interested to see how tonight's going to be with the racing. Did get to see a little bit with some of the guys practicing, and it seemed to be pretty racy with the package, especially being able to move around the track. Tire wear is going to be critical tonight with the setup. But the biggest thing they changed, they took away downforce from this race truck, and then they added side force. And what we mean by side force, downforce, these forces that we talk about, downforce is the force that's pushed down in the truck into the track from the aerodynamics of the truck built there. And then side force is actually the force that is on the right side of these trucks. As they start to get sideways, it'll catch that right side of that truck and almost kind of hold it in that position of a little bit sideways to that corner. So going to feel a little bit different for these guys tonight, so I'm interested to see who's mastered it well. But I think this 15, he's going to be very well here tonight with how it's feeling.
I mean, we're kind of already seeing how that side force is working with these drivers. Center of the corner, you can see how it's already kind of kinked out and yawed out and able to keep its weight pointing straight off the exit of the corner. For Vincent Sora trying to chase the top of the board. Danny Cochran, Vinny's teammate, going to be top of the board though, with Vincent Sora going to be second. Danny's going to take the pole time with a 29.540 currently. We still have over half the field still need to put in time down. One of those being Christopher Norris, who's trying to get some early warm up in those tires. But crazy to say, Danny Cochran, part of a cluster of drivers that did not make it out of the round of 12. Joining Danny Cochran also was Joshua Kanata, Ollie Fonseca. Those three drivers were three of the four that made it to our Final Four last season. Not going to be able to move on to the round of 8. And also another driver that missed out, Dakota Moniz, who had a strugglesome round. But congratulations, Dakota, for making it to the round of 12. But now we're down to our final 8 drivers running for the championship, and one of those being Christopher Norris. Again, tonight, one of his only races for this round. We heard that he's not going to be here next week for Iowa, so he needs to perform, and qualifying in the right position could be critical. As your top 3 currently, Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora, and Ollie Fonseca, as Norris is on lap number 1.
See what kind of speed he can build up. Everybody running their fastest lap on the second time around. So you see Christopher there running the top, trying to build up some momentum here, coming to start this lap. And his first time around is going to place him right now in the 11th position. But the speed he's looking for is going to come from this lap. Is now even Thomas Green jumps up to 4th on the board. So great lap there from the 18 machine. So we'll see who is able to top that. But right now, Christopher Norris, in the second lap, like I said, this is where the speed comes from to see if he can find a top 5 starting spot.
Christopher Norris focusing so much into this race, and he wants to start up top. It's 13th on the board after that first lap, and across the line for lap number 2, trying to look for a big upgrade, and why not place him 3rd on the board for Christopher Norris. But will 3rd place stay? Because we got 2 other fast drivers that are out on track, and it's teammates of Christopher Norris from Snowy Desert Racing, John Forbes in the 11 machine, Cody Reed in the 25. I've been hearing rumblings, Zach. This 11 could be one of the major threats here tonight.
I wouldn't doubt that. John, always such a great driver. I'd expect him to be right in the mix. Looks like he took that first lap around to get the speed built up. Now going to be coming around to start that second flying lap. And this is where the speed is. And look how close he got on the exit there off of 2. That was excellent precision work there from him to really carry the most speed possible. And that's what you got to do, is have the commitment on these qualifying laps.
If you scrub the outside wall, that negates your time. But John Forbes flirting with disaster. But across the line, he was 16th on the board. Move him up to 3rd, moving down Christopher Norris in the rest of the field 1 position. Cody Reed's about to cross the line for his 2nd lap in the 25 machine. He was 20th on the board, only up to 12th. Kind of shocking to see for Cody Reed, as we have 3 drivers deciding not to qualify. That's Dakota Moniz, Cedric Hunter, and Joshua Freed. We're going to be deciding to take a pause on qualifying. As qualifying comes to conclusion, it's the non-playoff driver of Danny Cochran that's going to be taking the pole time. And Danny's been quick, was looking at some of the stats this season, has the best average starting position and finishing position of all drivers. Danny Cochran, kind of, again, a shocker that he's not in the round of 8. We'll see if the 2 can play a little bit of spoiler here this evening. As we enter the warm-up period, it's going to be a 5-minute warm-up for these drivers to see where their pit stall is, getting the last little bit of practice, and as well gives us an opportunity to take a look at our point standings entering here tonight. And again, very simple. It's all of Nick Crawford, top of the board. He's the only driver with the bonus points entering our this round of 8 for these drivers. Everyone else tied at 0.
It's going to be excellent to see how this all shapes up, Sam. Like you said, with Crawford having that bonus point, everybody else tied, it's really open for anybody. And with, Christopher Norris, Cedric Hunter having their misses of races here, that's why open up the door wide open for someone like you said, a Justin Campbell, a Jarrett Talmadge, a Cody Reed to go and get into that Final Four. So I look for maybe some of the underdogs in this round to make some surprises here early.
And looking at the 8 drivers that made it to this round of 8, again, 3 of the 8 are previous champions. You've got Nick Crawford, you have John Forbes, Vincent Sora. They're all trying to become the first two-time champion of this series. And he got 5 other drivers who are trying to continue the trend of grabbing their first ever ISRC Layer Art Production Truck Series championship. The hunt is still obviously on. And also, drivers are hunting for the best of the rest championship. It's the drivers that are 17th on back currently. That's being led by Tyler Dangler over Ryan Ferraro and Martin Morales. As Tyler Dangler, best of the rest winner, gets $40 at the end of the season of whoever is 17th in points. So those drivers have their own battle that they're looking for. But as the season has progressed, we've only got 3 races left this season, but let's take a look at how we've gotten to this point. It's been incredible to see all the different drivers that have found themselves in a victory lane, but it's been Nick Crawford. You look at the last 6 races, he's won 4 of the past 6. He has been the dominator. Beginning of the season, it was Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran. Got to see a little bit of John Forbes as well, but the later halves of this season so far, Zach, it's been all Nick Crawford, and that consistency has been here since the start of the season to now.
It really has been 6 wins for him. I mean, especially with someone like the likes of Vincent Sora coming back. I mean, Vincent's popped off for 4 wins also. So those two really have took a strong hold on the field this season with the wins, but not always does wins get it done. You know, you're going to have the consistency through these rounds to get to Homestead. Then I think that's where that win is going to be most important. But if you can go out and get a win tonight, guess what? You ain't got to worry about Iowa.
If you're part of the round of 8 drivers, you get a win here tonight, you punch your ticket to run for a championship at Homestead in 2 weeks. Well, as we step away from our schedule, we enter our pick'em stage in our final 2 minutes of warm-up times, where we get to decide who we think might be an underdog driver to watch out for, who's our favorite to win here tonight. We're going to start out with my pick. I'm going with an underdog. We talked about how he's in a position that he has to win. Christopher Norris is going to be my driver to watch out for here tonight in my pick'em for a chance to win here this evening. It's not a traditional track that you see Christopher Norris really be a fast driver at, but I'm curious if Christopher Norris can find that clutch factor, because Zach, I heard he's going to have a lot more help. He's not running in the Discord with his regular team. He's working with some outside help to try to get the win here this evening.
Tends to help the kid when he does that for sure. So let's see how that works out. I like that pick, Sam, but I'm going to go with a non-playoff guy tonight. I think I'm going to go with the 24 of Ali Fonseca. He's been great at mile and a half before in the past. He showed a good little bit of speed here in that qualifying session to put himself up to 5th on the board. So I'm excited to see what Ali can do here and play spoiler for some of these playoff contenders.
I like that pick. Ollie's been kind of a lot of hype's been building up with him in the past about 5 hours since people were practicing. I like that pick a lot of Ollie Fonseca for you, Zach. And also we have our going to be a producer here this evening, Robert Moyer Jr. He's going to be picking another non-playoff driver, going with the 2 machine of Danny Cochran. I think this is a very solid pick as well, as Danny has been very consistent when it comes to mile and a half. He's been quick here at Texas. You know, that was during the current configuration of the Texas track, but a lot of drivers that are usually good at the current configuration are good at the legacy course. It's not a bad pick at all for Robert Moyer Jr. for the 2 machine of Danny Cochran. But Zach, warm-up's about to be closing. We're about to be entering the grid, for tonight's race. Any thoughts before we take a look at this grid of entering into tonight's race?
More or less just excited to see how these trucks race. You know, this is the new beginning, the new, the new Wild West, so to say, of this truck package. And I just want to see who can go out there and conquer it for the first time and really learn things, because, you can practice all week long, but the real learning comes tonight when we drop that green flag.
23 drivers enter tonight's race for the first race of the round of 8. If you run well this evening, you're finding yourself into the final 4 and running for a championship. But we take a look at our Hot Lap Threads starting grid. Go check out hotlapthreads.com. Check out some great threads to make sure you look great heading to the track. Taking the poll time, it's going to be a Hot Lap Threads driver of the 2 machine of Danny Cochran. To his outside is going to be his teammate of Vincent Sora in the 15. Behind them, it's Snowy Desert Racing of John Forbes in 3rd, 4th of Christopher Norris. Driver to watch out for, Zach's pick, going to be the 24 machine of Ali Fonseca in 5th place. Then in 6th, we find Thomas Green, one of his better qualifying times we've seen in a while. Watch out on how the 18 is going to run here this evening. In 7th position, we see the 74 of Nick Crawford. In 8th place, it's the 10 of Jarrett Talmadge. 9th, Malik Kuntz, and finishing out our top 10, it's 16 of Joshua Kanata.
Starting in 11th is going to be a first-time round of 8 contender, Justin Campbell. Alongside him, another round of 8 contender. It's the 25 of Cody Reed in 12th. 13th is going to go to the 14 of GTR Azari, with 14th being held by the 50 of Samuel Garcia. 15th position is going to be the 20 of Jesse Thornhook, with 16th is our best of the rest points leader, Tyler Dingler. 17th is going to go to Ryan Ferraro. 18th is going to be the 91 of Martin Morales. 19th is going to be the 01 of Aaron Kralik. And rounding out the top 20 is going to be Justin Smith. And with our final 3 trucks in the field, and 21st is going to be Cedric Hunter, 22nd, Dakota Moniz, and 23rd, Joshua Fruit.
No drivers were given any penalties last week as the drivers were running at the Roval, but one driver has asked for an EOL. That's going to be Cedric Hunter in the 7 machine. We're expecting Cedric to do a little bit of a start and park for himself this evening. But up front, Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora, the teammates, ready and set for tonight. And Zach, based off what I was seeing from practice, these two looked very consistent, but also is hearing from drivers, they got a little bit of practice to set up for this race based off of the WSSR when the next-gen vehicles are running at Legacy, Texas. I don't know how much test time you got with the trucks here at this course, but what did you hear from your side of the crew that were getting prepared for this race?
You know, I heard first off that there actually is comparisons when it comes to that, next-gen car. So that is going to be interesting. You know, I know a lot of guys fought that at WSSR with the loose condition, so to say, and that loose condition could definitely pop up here tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see who can manage that well. A lot of times we talk with these trucks, in my opinion, with the tighter side of things and the dirty air, but I think tonight it's going to be all about saving that right rear. Who can manage not getting too sideways? I think that's going to produce quite the race for us.
I do want to say thank you to our major sponsors of Valerian Productions, Hot Lap Threads, and Morecast. We'll touch more on those amazing sponsors later on in tonight's race, but thank you so much to everyone that's joining with us here this evening. If you haven't shared the broadcast, we'd love if you'd hit that share button and send out the link to anywhere that you find that you might have people that would like to watch tonight's viewing of the ISRC Valerian Productions Truck Series race, Season 6 Playoffs, Round of 8, Race 1 of the ISRC Legacy Texas 150. Tonight, 150 laps, and we are green here this evening with Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora taking us to the green, down into turn number 1. Already seen a little bit of slicing with the 38 of Christopher Norris. Get below the 15 of Vincent Sora for second place, and it's already on. Grab those positions now.
Christopher Norris a little loose there coming off of 2. He's now going to look to the inside, possibly Danny Cochran, but just didn't have the drive off with that loose condition as he's followed up the second. But now it's John Forbes, the teammate of Christopher Norris, trying to fight for also.
Trying to fight forward in lap number 1 off the exit of turn 4. It's Danny Cochran going to lead the first lap. Vincent Sora now under pressure to fall back to 4th place. Now tonight's race, 150 laps in total. We will have a stage break at the end of lap 50, so these drivers have quite a bit of racing action to get under themselves before they need to think about that stage break. But 50 laps could be a long time. You're seeing the gaggle of cars further back in the field, still side by side, but everyone else recognizing, get in line. Single file is going to be your friend here this evening.
And it will be. You got to be single file here early to try to save your stuff if you want. But right now, Reed trying to go forward in that 25 machine had not a great qualifying spot. I think he wants to go fight forward right now. And we'll see, what does that do to the tires? I think this is experimentation time here, Sam. Use this stage to learn what you can get away with and what you won't be able to get away with later.
Already in pit road, it's going to be Cedric Hunter in the 7 machine. Again, Start and Park was the decision for the 7 here tonight. So we'll have 22 drivers still out on track. As we're seeing the field trying to press forward. We're currently riding on board with the 9 machine of Justin Campbell. Again, first ever time making it to the round of 8 in his rookie full season for the 9 machine. And Zach, I mean, even from the start, we knew Justin Campbell was going to be a threat with all the podium finishes in the first 3 races of the season. And now the 9 has a chance to try to fight for a championship berth, but he's surrounded by some competition that wants to get a little bit antsy. GT Rizzari putting the pressure on the 9, and Joshua Kanata not letting the 9 just have him breeze by. A little bit of blocking by the 16 machine.
Kind of stuck in the middle there is the 9. He's in between 2 different battles, and he's trying to go forward and not let a lot of his competition, so to say, get away from him here, because he wants to position himself to where if this does go green, you are fighting for possible stage points, because those are so critical here with everybody starting dead even pretty much from that second position on backing points. It can give you a huge bonus by just getting those early stage points, but you already see the rear ends of these trucks already kicking sideways. They're showing they're fighting those rear ends.
Stage bonus points. Top 10 drivers get bonus points. First place gets 10 bonus points. Second gets 9. Third gets 8. It continues to dwindle down until you get to 10th place, only getting 1 bonus point at the end of lap 50, or if you have a caution between lap 45 and 50, that will count as the end of the stage. So back out the field, getting very racy between one another, but up front, already up to second place, it's Ollie Fonseca in the 24 has made a pass on Vincent Sora just a lap ago, and now puts the pressure on Christopher Norris and trying to run down Danny Cochran. The 2 drivers that got eliminated last round now lead 1-2 up front.
We'll see how this works out for that grouping here. It looks like Vincent Sora, the 15, he's took a little bit of a different approach, giving up spots here early to try to maybe make him back later in the run. And you know, with this new update, the way these trucks are handling, I think that might be the way to go, as we get to see our weather conditions now there in the bottom right of our screen. As you see that air temperature sitting at 80 degrees Fahrenheit and that track temp at a hot 95 degrees there. That is definitely a factor, but I think the biggest thing there, Sam, 17 to 18 mile an hour of southwest wind. So that right there can really throw these trucks for a loop.
Yeah, that wind is dramatic. And also, when the drivers were practicing, it's about 10 degrees cooler, as it was around 109 degrees during practice sessions. Now, these drivers are dealing with 96. As we're talking about the weather, pass for the leads made. Ollie Fonseca leads this lap for the 24. And again, a non-playoff contender, but it's pulling in the likes of Christopher Norris, as well as John Forbes, trying to put a little pressure on our front too, as the 24 trying to pull away. And you know, talking about drivers that raced in the WSSR race for the next gen cars here in Legacy, Texas, just a few weeks ago, Ollie wasn't a part of that group. He actually missed out on that race. 24 getting his first kind of taste of this racetrack here this evening.
Impressive to see. And you know, one thing I know, talking to a few drivers about even just how this, you know, truck race with the balance is, some people said, you know, hey, the clean air is actually worse. If you know, you get the grip from the clean air and it pushes that nose down into the racetrack. And with these drivers already fighting a truck that really wants to oversteer and just turn to the left, when you get to that clean air, it does it even more dramatically, and it can affect the tires even faster. So if you're Ollie Fonseca, you got to be careful out front here, pulling away. But I tell you what, you know, sometimes you just got it figured out. You got to go with what your gut tells you.
If you're feeling the rhythm here, 11 laps in, I think it's better just to take off and go. As a lot of drivers were saying later on in the run, hey, tires might be troublesome. But one driver that's feeling it troublesome, Vincent Sora, is down 6 positions, qualified second. He's now fallen all the way down to 8th place, and he is continuing to go backwards. But this train, this gaggle of cars, it is bumper to bumper traffic. And this has got to be feeling a little bit intense for how these drivers want to be racing around one another, with 12 laps into this run. And now pass for second place, it's Thomas Green moving forward. We're starting to see the transition of drivers that seem to feel a lot more comfortable pushing forward as aggressively as they can.
They are, and I'm starting to see a few more rear ends starting to kick out a little bit too. So I think guys are starting to get to that point of the run where balance is starting to free up even more. Overheating of that right rear will become an issue now. And I think you're going to start to see maybe a few little bit of struggles. But here goes the 14 of GTR Rosario, who's been making a good climb through the field for himself after starting 13th. He's going to be battling here with Malik Kuntz for that 9th spot, as they got Vincent Sora right in front of him. But Vincent Sora is allowing the 98 to get to his outside, and I think this 15, he is managing, you know, so much right now that if it does go green, I think he'll be a problem for the guys in front of him. But his worry has got to be, if this doesn't go green, he's going to lose a ton of track position.
I mean, Zach, we talked about it before plenty of times, the fact of you can give up time, maybe to think that you're going to take those positions back, but you can give up too many positions that you're costing yourself in the long run of this race with track position loss. And for Vincent Sora, almost outside of the top 10 and might be outside of the zone of bonus points at the end of the stage. This is looking critical for the 15. Is this a problem? Because I also was hearing from Danny Cochran, I was asking about, hey, what's the comfortability? How's the team been thinking? And he even said Vincent Sora does not sound very confident with the new updates. He's not a fan of the new updates with the truck and really didn't put in as much practice in as other drivers have into this truck on this racing surface. So I think for Vinny, might be not as comfortable, again, maybe a little bit of a reality check as the driver that swept the last round, Nick Crawford, now putting the pressure trying to take this 10th place position.
He's just continuing to fall back, and we'll be coming by here to complete lap 15 here very soon. I'm starting to see if you guys start to slide around, but it may be struggles. It may very well not just be a case of, hey, I want to save the tires here and manage them as much as I possibly can, because like you said, Sam, you can give up time, but positions are the big thing, because a lot of times when you give those positions up free like that, as GTR's already has a big slide off of two there, actually is going to slow him up, allow Vincent to get back to his outside. As Nick Crawford in the wall too. But when you give up that time is available to be gained back. But the positions, when you let people go by for free, they usually don't let you go by for free later in the run.
Yeah, especially on the fact that we are closing in closer and closer halfway through this stage break officially at the end of lap 50 for these drivers. So as we progress through this stage, drivers are not going to just give those spots away. But hey, you have teammates running around one another. Curious if they're just going to give those spots to each other nicely, as Cody Reed and Nick Crawford continue to stay side by side. I'm kind of surprised by this move, and not to see the teammates kind of just give up that spot. Nick Crawford able to just blitz by Cody Reed as Cody continues to try to hold back. And I think for this 25, he recognizes, hey, if I give up too much momentum, I'm going to be a threat of Vincent Sora, and he is. Right now, there's 15 trying to take one of those positions back.
15 to the quarter panel, with 25 drives it in deep there to make sure he clears it. But looks like Vinny was thinking about the crossover, but just not a good enough drive off for that 15 to be able to do it. But the 25, looking a little bit free. Last time coming off of 4, he had a major slide, and I think Vincent Sora trying to take the air off the spoiler there. And you see how close he gets to him, but it actually made the 15 have to check up. Now the 14 coming to the outside of the 15. It just shows you a mistake from the driver in front of you can cause you to slow down a little bit to give that driver behind you the opportunity.
Top 11 drivers all within 2.5 seconds of one another, and the biggest gap between drivers right now is actually the gap between second and third position. Everyone throughout the field keeping it pretty close to one another. The draft is helping on the straightaways, the corners, getting that dirty air, maybe helping a few drivers corner their way easier, as Vincent Sora now might have been told to be given the green button to go, as he has been waiting and falling back. But now 20 laps into this run, Vincent Sora is now going to be on that conveyor belt to try to go forward, as Ollie Fonseca still leads this race. Thomas Green second. And drivers that talked about the best of the rest competition, well, Tyler Dangler, who was leading that, he's now down to 19th position, as seeing the back half of the field, they're still having their own little battles side by side. That's the 39 of Joshua Free, Justin Smith battling for 20th position, and some of these drivers further on back, survival mode, just hit their marks here tonight is the ultimate goal for themselves. And for some drivers, they don't want to finish last here tonight. That's why we're seeing the battling right here for 20th place.
That's exactly right. And learning right now in this early stage how to race side by side. Is Smith going to get a little loose there off the corner, and that's going to mess him up. But yeah, these guys battling hard back here, along with even now we got a battle for the top 5 going on, actually, or sorry, top 6. Jared Talmadge is now getting almost getting passed by Malik Kuntz around the outside. So the outside's showing some speed, but look at Vincent Sora. He's starting to make the ground back up. He's looked to the inside and got past Nick Crawford. Now going to look to the inside of Malik Kuntz, and I'm wondering what he saved. Will it be enough?
Well, that last lap, the fastest truck on track was Vincent Sora, but I don't even know really if it's worth it at this point. He's got so much work to be made up, and with the slide and almost contact, the 15's got a lot of work and almost going 3 wide with Nick Crawford in the middle, as Cody Reed will just fall in line with his teammate of Crawford. And seeing these drivers trying to make the work back, Sora fell all the way back to 11th place, trying to move forward at this point, but now stalling out in that 8th place battle.
It looks like when he gets side by side with someone, he just cannot keep that truck from getting over-rotated. And that's just this new system of how the downforce has been taken away from these trucks, and the side force is now what you're relying on. So you got to be able to walk that thin line, so to say, of not too sideways, but just sideways enough to where you get the right amount of side force coming off these corners to find that grip. But it looks like Vincent Sora finally will find his way around Nick Crawford. As Crawford now a little bit of a struggle going on for him. He's starting to run that. He's running that outer groove, and I think that could play a big factor here of overheating those tires.
Slightly overheating, but at this
Reed.
moment in time, oh no, it's Cody Reed gets tapped and spun around, and our first caution of the day is the 25 into the inside wall, and Zach, Cody did not want to see that spin.
That he did not, and that was just, I had been seeing it from the 25. He, through the center of the corner, he's been very, very free when it comes to that late exit, which a lot of people are. But I think right there, just getting free at the wrong time because his teammate's going to be up on the top side as we go back and look at it. And they're going to make contact here. So this is where you're going to see the 25 a little bit up the racetrack. He's going to get back to that gas. It's going to kick out sideways, and then Crawford is just going to be unfortunately there with his left front, and that's going to spin around his teammate who's going to nose it into the wall. But surprisingly, for nosing into the wall that hard, Sam, it's really not that bad of damage here as we get a second look.
A second look at it. Seeing Cody Reed just moving along. It's going to be the center of the bumper, and right there was the contact. Sent him around. Also finishing off by GT and hits it there. It's a hard contact, but not hard enough for required damage, but optional front end damage is going to be crucial for the 25 machine. As most of the field, this is a hard decision with this pit stop. I think everyone's expecting to take 4 tires and fuel, but we're 25 laps in. We're halfway through this stage. Does anyone risk track position by taking 2 tires here? And we talk about learning. This is what this first stage is all about, is what can you learn for later on in this race? I'm curious if anyone's thinking about maybe taking 2 tires here for a gamble, but I think, Zach, the safest choice is 4 tires and fuel.
I think most people you're going to see take those 4 tires and fuel. And I mean, if you're going to gamble and learn something, you could do it right now for sure, for these stage points. The concern I do have is the race off the pit road there comes off. I have a concern when you take right side tires, especially with how loose everybody's talking about. Usually you put those right side tires on those older left sides, and it just really wants to pull the truck around with that more grip on the right side. So you got to be smart when you do that. But if you're going to be testing stuff, this is the perfect opportunity for sure.
Certainly is. Some other drivers spending a little bit of extra time in pit road to get damage repair done. Jesse Thornock in the 20 machine got a little bit of damage repair. Same for Tyler Dangler, GT Rosari, Mark Morales, and just leaving pit road is Cody Reed to get service done. And for Cedric Hunter, again, start and park here this evening just to get the minimum amount of points without just blatantly missing the race. As for drivers up front, Ollie Fonseca, Danny Cochran going to be your front 2, as Danny was able to get a better pit exit out from Thomas Green. But Thomas Green, Ollie Fonseca, they looked quick. I got to say, it's the non-playoff drivers that looked the most comfortable here in the first couple of laps of this run.
I tell you what, it did. It really, really did. Ollie Fonseca and Thomas Green look like they were hooked up. And I mean, we were 25 laps in. That was halfway of what the stage was. Normally, if you're going to start to have those struggles, they usually kick in a little bit earlier than that. So, it looks like the 24 and 18 have it figured out. And, that's what happens when you have these new builds, these new updates. Sometimes some people it clicks with their driving style, and it just is a perfect fit. And that might be what we're looking at right now until these other drivers can kind of adapt their ability to it.
I want to say thank you again for everyone that's joining with us here this evening to be watching coverage of the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up at the booth, Zach Hall, and running productions is Robert Moyer Jr. As the drivers are running in the Season 6 playoffs, the start of the round of 8. We got 2 races for this round here tonight. It's Legacy, Texas. Next week, Iowa, to figure out the 4 drivers that will run for a championship at Homestead in 2 weeks. As Ollie Fonseca, Danny Cochran going to be your front runners. Danny taking the pole for the 2 machine. Got passed by Ollie Fonseca after just 6 laps of green flag racing. Surprising, I think that was to see, but after first 24 laps of this race being green, I think this is going to be a good showing. Who's willing to get a little bit more riskier? I mean, Zach, knowing that this now stage is shorter with the fresher tires now, as it's the end of lap 50 again as the stage, they don't have to worry about saving tires for the full 50 laps. Curious on if anyone's going to get a little bit more antsy on this restart and try to take a lot more positions.
Oh, I think a ton of people are. I think, the intensity level, it was probably at around a 6. They're going to probably crank that up to about a 9 now. So I don't think we'll hit 10 yet, but I do think we're going to crank it up a little bit here, especially you're someone like the likes of Vincent Sora, you gave up so much track position there, and that caution really bit you because you thought you maybe could run back through him. I think he's learned now you can't give up that track position.
Yeah, I think he was starting to go on the move, but it was too much time to be made up. As the pace car is about to pull off, we're about to be entering the restart zone. Again, welcome to the ISRC Legacy Texas 150 here tonight. Ali Fonseca in the restart zone, takes off, gets a great launch. Aaron Kralik, black flag, has to pull into pit road on this initial start. So we'll have 21 drivers out on track for this next restart, and Ali pulls away. It's side by side between John Forbes and Thomas Green as the drivers exit out of turn number 2, keeping their foot in the throttle, and we stay green for now.
Man, oh man, non-playoff guys all up front here as Forbes is trying to break into that top 3 to stop that stranglehold of the non-playoff contenders, but Fonseca, Cochran, both green, look very, very strong early in this run. As now you're not having Christopher Norris. He's going to jump to the outside of Thomas Green here and try to play a factor here because they know it's getting down to crunch time. We're going to be 20 to go here in the stage when we cross the line next time, and points are going to be ever so critical.
Top 10 drivers get stage bonus points. Big wiggle from Danny Cochran. Same for John Forbes. And Forbes keeps his foot in the throttle better and able to keep the momentum as he stays on the outside. Going to be side by side for second place. We continue to ride on Christopher Norris, who's side by side for Thomas Green. Finally clears the 18. And now it's side by side for the second place position. Ali Fonseca pulling away with over a 4 truck length lead over second position. Christopher Norris, again, watching the battling of the drivers that are trying to catch up, is the 10 of Jared Talmadge. And how do they want to go back and forth? And it looks like John Forbes finally able to fully clear, but I take it back. Danny Cochran fighting right back to the inside.
And he does. He fights right back to that inside, and the side draft, so powerful in these trucks. I almost feel like it got more powerful with the aerodynamic updates that we got, and it just keeps you side by side for so long. And it's even, in my opinion, very comparable to that next-gen car with how much it can slow you down when you get close to someone's quarter panel like that. And you don't really need to get too close. You know, some guys will get where they almost touch, but if you're within half a truck length or width of them, you will side draft them pretty well. And I think that's what's keeping these two alongside each other so well. And Fonseca saying, all right, I'll drive away.
And Fonseca, last lap, puts down the fastest lap of the race. Not going to do so this go around, but still able to almost have a half a second gap lead over this side-by-side battle that we see on screen. And for Danny Cochran, I think for a lot of people, for Ollie and for Danny, and also for Joshua Kanata and Dakota Moniz, I mean, what type of drives were we going to see from those drivers that got eliminated from the round of 12? And it looks like for the majority of them, they're trying to prove here tonight that they're drivers to watch out for. Dakota Moniz was the biggest mover and actually is currently the biggest mover of the race. Oli Meyer back in 17th position. Joshua Kanata mired in the middle of the field. And then the two other drivers that were eliminated from last round, you got Ali Fonseca in first, second. Number 2, though, runs in third of Danny Cochran. And field still single files out for now. And I think it might be that settling period. We might see these next 6 laps, everyone just calming down, settling their tires before they make that final dash for these final 10 laps before the stage is over.
That's exactly right. Look at Nick Crawford. He's broke his way up to 7th here for that 74 machine. Not too far behind the 10 of Derek Talmadge, but the one driver I'm looking at is Cody Reed trying to make his way back up here. He's already packed to 12th as he's got Kanata in front of him, but also Vincent Sora, once again, 10th place, not going forward here on the start. It's got to be a struggle for the 15.
You know, not going forward, but he's not losing as much ground as he did last time. I think at this point he'd already given up 5 positions. He was going backwards. He's only given up 2 so far. And it's to 2 drivers, and I'm not surprised, that willing to go forward with Justin Campbell, Malik Kuntz, that have been super aggressive on fresh rubber in a lot of racetracks we go to. So Vincent Sora just letting those drivers go put down their own pace and speed currently, and just willing to settle at this moment is the 15 of Vincent Sora. But again, talking about how majority of those 8 drivers that are still hunting for the championship are tied in points. These bonus points of leading a lap, stage bonus points, they are the first true gaps that you're building before we get to the end of the race on how you're going to be settling into Iowa next week.
Exactly right. You don't want to start with a gap already, 50 laps into the race built up for yourself. So you gotta focus on those points. And right now, the battle with Jared Talmadge and Christopher Norris, that's a critical battle with those 2 there for those bonus points that they could gain. And You know, Christopher Norris not racing next week. I think he's in a more of a must-win scenario, but Jared Talmadge knows, hey, these fifth place stage points could be huge, and if I can go get fourth for my teammate, that'll be even more.
And Jared Talmadge, that's basically what he's been doing to get him to this point of being a driver that can race for a chance to race for a Final Four contention. And for a lot of the drivers that made it through last week's race, it was watching on who was the most comfortable. And Jared Talmadge, one of those that was kind of at the bubble line of who was going to make it to this round of 8 between Jared Talmadge, Christopher Norris, and Danny Cochran on who was going to be bounced out. It was ultimately Danny Cochran, but Jared Talmadge and Christopher Norris, 2 drivers that recognize the pressure's on. 2 different pressures, like we've noted on, to watch out for, as seeing the drivers side by side. Malik Kuntz trying to stay in front of Nick Crawford and Justin Campbell. Let's go with the stack 3 wide for a quick moment. Sora has to back out. A very tense moment for those 3 drivers of Campbell, Crawford, Sora. Playoff contentions could have been really up in smokes if they made contact there.
That was wild, because you see the seam there on the racetrack that the 74 is running on. They fit 3 trucks somehow below that seam. That almost was really bad there. Good sort of heads up job for him to lift there. Same for Nick Crawford. He had the 9 get loose up above him, and that could have been very bad. As now Campbell, he took advantage of the run he had. Now he's back passing, trying to pass this 98 here.
One of 3 drivers able to keep their foot in the throttle, the other 2 back out, as Campbell will slot himself now up to 7th place, trying to catch up to Christopher Norris, who runs extremely high on the entry of turn 1. Will lose the position, or will he? Huge momentum run on the outside, and Christopher Norris will take 5th place. That might be something to note to watch out for. That was a huge run, ripping the wall through 1 and 2.
We'll see if anybody utilizes it. I tell you, I have seen that utilized actually well in this new package here around Texas with this truck. The top of 1 and 2 works well, but I'll tell you what, the top of 3 and 4, to some may not know this, it works even better. So if you can find speed up there, it's clean air. It is available to you. But again, you overwork the tires. You just got to be smart. And I think if Christopher Norris can use that to set up passes, that's what he's doing. Is right now with that big run off the 2 again, he's able to jump to the inside of the 18. So we'll see if others, learn from this. Is now 18 little loose. That's going to let the 38 clear. So great job by Christopher Norris. 2 passes in 2 laps.
Hey, you're setting up for this final stretch as the drivers cross the line. 8 laps to go before the stage is over. And if we get a caution between lap 45 and 50, that will also count as our stage. So drivers recognize this is the last opportunity to really take any final passes, as John Forbes trying to set up for the lead position. Ollie Fonseca doesn't want to just lay over and give it to the 11 machine, nor does Danny Cochran. The top spot, it's looking like the 11 of John Forbes wants this position, but Ollie is not willing to just throw it away. The 11 yet to lead that lap. The 24 continues to keep the front bumper ahead.
That he does. Ollie Fonseca, though, switched to the loose side here, Sam. Looking almost wrecking off a 2. Big check up there for Cochran, but look at the run from Christopher Norris. He's going to have a giant run 3 wide to the bottom.
Going to 3 wide, and you have to take these positions when you see them. And Christopher Norris has the grip, makes it stick, and he'll take both of those positions in just 1 corner. And now it's the teammates 1-2 from Snowy Desert Racing. John Forbes leads that lap. He'll take the 1 extra bonus point. Christopher Norris now trying to slot in a position to grab a bonus point. If not, try to put himself in track position to win this stage. But isn't he going to need maybe a little bit more help, as Jared Talmadge now on the back bumper of Ollie Fonseca. Danny Cochran and this 24 of Ollie Fonseca both look to be in trouble, as the 24 puts a major squeeze on the 10. Almost contact made for 4th place.
That was a major squeeze on the entry, especially. Usually you squeeze them center off, but that was a squeeze on the entry where you normally see incidents happen. So great job there for Talmadge to stay off the 24, who has just swung so far to the loose side. I think he's learned, okay, I know how I can overwork these tires now, and that is a problem for him. So he's dropping back. But again, stage point's not too critical for Ollie. He's out of the playoffs. He just needs to refocus for that after the stage point.
But 2 drivers that are trying to make the push forward. Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, 2 different approaches on how they want to exit out of turn number 4. Crawford's taking that high approach. Sora's trying to get underneath drivers to make passes, and they're going to be trying to go for almost a 3-wide move here late in a run. We're seeing all 3 grooves being utilized. The middle seems to be where the drivers are in trouble. Settle. Nick Crawford once thinking about 3 wide. It gives a bump to Sora, trying to give the push to go forward as we have 4, soon to be 3 laps to go before the stage is over. And with the way these drivers are racing, I don't know if we're going to get to the end of the stage. Again, if a caution flag comes out, that will be the stage as John Forbes still leads the way up front, but Sora, Crawford, they're trying to get every position back.
That they are. They're trying everything. And I tell you what, the outside line is really, really working right now. Christopher Norris running down our leader, John Forbes. Now Justin Campbell, he's looking to the inside of the Tua Cochran. Everybody running that top is getting major runs, and look at them all searching now, trying to find the speed that others have found.
But those that push their tires too aggressively early on just can't get back on the throttle. Danny Cochran gets a little bit too much rotation, but Christopher Norris, again, going with the opposite approach. Most of Snowy Desert Racing went into their own chats or found other teams to have conversations with. Norris, he's working with the new team. He's got a spotter crew chief helping him out here tonight, and now puts the move to get underneath John Forbes. Forbes trying to fight back to win this stage as they're exiting out of turn number 4, coming up to the white flag of the stage. Norris almost fully clear as he leads that lap. That's a bonus point for the 38, and it looks to be all Norris down into turn number 1.
This 38 showing something here, Sam. He's almost in a must-win position. So the stage points, I mean, they could help when people have issues at Iowa, but man, he wants to go out here and flex the muscle and show, hey, I'm going to be contended for this win when we come down to this thing. And side by side into 3 for the final time.
Down into turn number 3, and when the stage flag is going to be thrown, it's when 10th place crosses the line. Currently, that's GT Rosari and Malik Kuntz, but across the line, John Forbes will take that position. Norris falls into second as the going to see the caution thrown as the top 10 have crossed the line. Your stage winner is the 11 of John Forbes, and if anything, Zach, this is going to be a race to watch at the end of this thing, if that's a preview of what we're going to be seeing later on.
It is, and I tell you what, Vincent Sora drove his way up to 4th too, so getting 7 bonus points for himself. Nick Crawford up to 6th. That's good for them, but Campbell and Forbes, Norris, and them just really excellent jobs for them. Jarrett Talmadge able to also get those stage points, so some playoff contenders getting those points. Others, though, sitting outside of it.
I want to say thank you to our stage sponsor, being Morecast. Head on over to Morecast on Instagram and YouTube to check out great content for yourself as the field's about to be making their way into pit road as everyone's catching up to the pace car. John Forbes will take that win, maximizing with the bonus points for himself. Still, the big bonus point I think that's out for grabs is most laps led. That is 3 extra bonus points for yourself, or if you're one of the 8 drivers that are hunting for the championship and are still in the round of 8, getting the win will lock you into the final 4, where few of these drivers are wanting another chance for glory. Others are looking for a chance to be the first 2-time champion. But here we go, pit stop, Zach. This is critical. Put yourself in the best position to start this run. As stage racing is over, it's all about the win from here.
That is exactly right, Sam. You know, if you have a mistake here, all the work you did now to get up here, it's going to completely be lost. So we'll see if there's mistakes. And I will say one is done. The 30 at Chris Norris slides through his box. Same for Vincent Sora. Same for Danny Cochran. So showing you right here, early mistakes from multiple drivers.
And also driving through, a lot of drivers having mistakes. The biggest one, Nick Crawford missing his box. He had to drive all the way through. Tasked up going to pit road the next time by, as it's going to be John Forbes, Justin Campbell, and Christopher Norris going to be your first 3 drivers leaving pit road. So a lot of drama to be mounted up as we get to see if we can talk to our stage winner, John Forbes, driver that looked fast and hopes to continue to be quick here tonight. As we're going to be trying to pull in John Forbes. John, sorry for pulling you away from that conversation. How are you feeling? This 11 machine looks quick out there on track.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this new update, just kind of feeling it out. Feel like I've done a lot of practice doing like the little official week 13 things this week, so we'll see how it hangs on. I think I need to do a little bit better on my tire saving, but we also knew that last run was only going to be 20 laps, so I knew I had to go hard. But this cleaner is important. I'm going to be in a big fight up here to try to keep that.
Definitely going to be a big fight, John. Congrats on that stage win, man. 10 valuable bonus points for yourself. And, we talk about the changes. Explain to the folks at home, what do you think are the biggest changes and differences that we've seen from this update?
Yeah, so the truck overall is a little bit faster because they took a lot of the downforce away. So naturally, you're going to have to get off the throttle more. But at the same time, they also gave it more side force. So when you kind of do get loose, or you kind of need the truck to kind of support you through the corner, you'll kind of feel that as well. But overall, it drives a lot different than it used to. It's not as much as like a giraffe fest, and it's more just trying to save your tires, keep your stuff on it, and then just kind of pick your time to fire off and try to get some people. So I think there's a lot more strategy involved now, and it's a lot of fun. And you'll see like a lot of us are probably gonna be saving like on that first run when we were trying to get to the stage, and everyone's just kind of picking their way. Some guys went really fast, some guys went really slow. So we'll see what the right combination is going forward here.
I mean, talking about strategy, John, I know we're about to be going to the 1-to-go marker. What is it like for your team? I know there's a little bit of change up for this race with Nick and Norris kind of focusing on their own races with their feeling into this race. What is it like with it being kind of a smaller group in that Discord call?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I mean, honestly, you're able to kind of focus a bit more. It's one of like the pros about it, but cons is you don't know what your teammates are doing, so you're kind of more like a competitor to them at this one, just trying to race them out. So yeah, it's a little bit of fun, some friendly competition going on. So we'll see how it plays out.
Well, can't wait to see how it's going to play out, John. Congratulations on being our stage winner here tonight. Enjoy it, but hopefully we talk to you at the end of this evening.
Thank you, guys.
As we send back the 11 machine, Snowy Desert Racing driver of John Forbes. Zach, I mean, I'm not surprised that John's the driver that wins the stage, but I'm mostly surprised on the competition there at the end of that one. That was a lot closer racing than I was expecting to see.
It really was. And it showed that, like, the drivers that needed the points, they really started to push right at the end of that run to get those spots. And that was super impressive. And I think it sets up quite a show we're going to get to see, because it looks like multiple grooves here are very valuable tonight.
And trouble for one of our playoff contenders. We already knew Cedric Hunter was going to be a stop and go. Nick Crawford, major damage, 1 lap down for the 74. He's back out on track, but going to be starting this restart 1 lap down as we are back to green flag racing. Up front for the ISRC Legacy Texas 150, it's John Forbes getting the launch down into turn number 1.
Great launch, like you said, from Forbes. Christopher Norris's teammates trying to follow him through, but it's going to be the 9 of Campbell, the 2 of Danny Cochran, putting the pressure on the 38 here early.
With the pressure, and Danny Cochran maybe wants to get back into that second place position a little bit sooner than what others would like, but they stay side by side for second place. No opening just yet, but Campbell utilizing the outside groove and trying to take the lead position back, and he will do so. Lap led for the 9 of Justin Campbell.
Huge bonus points there for the 9. He knows how critical that could be, but the question is, do you overwork your stuff? Look how loose he is. He's cutting down in front of the 11. That's going to be a concern for him as the run goes on.
Also heard from drivers that said once you start getting loose, it only gets worse. It never stalls out. It never calms down. It just progressively gets worse and worse every time you go around this course. So watch out for Justin Campbell on this run. Did he push too aggressively just in the first couple of laps, which is highly doable for these drivers as we look through the field. Some drivers trying to make a move forward. In one of those, the 50 machine, Samuel Garcia, having a great run, was able to have that restart instead of our top 10, falls to 11. And watching GT Rosario, Malik Kuntz, they're having their own duel between one another.
They are. This is some great racing as everybody's fighting for the bottom here to just get in line and conserve. I think, like John said, it's going to be a completely different run now with they knowing that it's not just a 20-lap run. This is to the end of the race with 100 laps. If we go green, you cannot overpush yourself because you will quickly be slipping back through this field. So everybody fighting for the bottom, just trying to roll around there and conserve as much right rear as possible. As you see Fonseca, he's starting to make his charge back up. He makes the pass for third on Marsh.
Makes the charge onto third, and some other drivers having their own woes. First driver call it on the night going to be the 0-1 of Aaron Frolick, who we've seen after our initial caution, having multiple times into pit road trying to get repairs done and just could not get the fix. But up front, battle for the lead. It's Justin Campbell trying to take that lead position away from John Forbes. He's already led a lap. Is the 9 machine with the move to the outside, but trying to get fully clear for the first time this evening is Campbell. And Zach, it felt like for the longest time in the middle of the season, it was what type of 9 machine are we going to get? Because sometimes we saw Campbell being focused, practiced, and had the most effort to try to go for a win every single race. And other times it felt like he was just there to get points. Here tonight, it seems like we're getting that aggressive, focused Campbell that wants to win and lock a chance for a championship.
He really opened my eyes last week, personally, at the Roval. You know, I never saw him as much of a road course racer, and it just showed me that if he put the preparation in, if he put in the time and really went out there with that in his mind, he can really do anything, you know, available to him. So it just shows you the talent underneath the wheel. And I think, again, showing here in the playoffs, his preparation has been more, and he's just been that much better from it. So that's always cool to see when, you know, drivers who are talented but just don't have, you know, the right amount of practice put in, they find that right timing at the right time of the season, and it just works out for them.
Starting to see a little bit of a gap building out in between the battles between first and second and third. The real cluster up is starting to happen around that 4th place position. Danny Cochran, Christopher Norris, also seeing Vincent Sora. Sora going back to, I think, what was necessary. He's fighting for these positions, and he's not just giving them up, while other drivers are fighting to stay just inside of our top 10. This is just outside of it, battling for 10th place. You have Samuel Garcia, Cody Reed. Again, Cody Reed coming off that spin that brought out our 1 caution so far, on-track incident on lap 23. And the 25 currently trying to break his way into the top 10, but it's tough at this moment. There's not a lot of space, and one mistake can throw away, honestly, a chance to fight for a championship, as Cody hoping to find an opening at this point, but just has to settle with where he's at this moment.
You're exactly right. He's kind of got to settle because everybody's fighting for that bottom line. Is now even up front. Cochran now trying to make the move on the 9 of Justin Campbell. He's going to have the push from the 38 of Christopher Norris here. And that's huge. Trying his best to move forward. Is him and the 24 Valley Fonseca, I feel like, have been 2 of the more drivers fighting to get up front and stay there. And I think it showed that last run that they kind of fell off a little bit. So we'll see if they can manage a little bit better while still making these passes here, because John Forbes, like I say, has opened up about a 0.6 of a second gap. And, you know, with the saving the tires, I didn't think we'd see that.
No, I didn't think so either, but Justin Campbell is showing that if you're too aggressive too early, you will fall backwards. The 9 has now fallen to 4th place, and I think give him another 5 more laps, he might fall 5 more positions, because that 9 does not look as stable as he did on the initial go of that last restart. But I'm seeing Danny Cochran, Ollie Fonseca, where can they run down the 11 machine? It's going to be the good question of this evening. And as well, what will the other playoff contenders try to battle with John Forbes? Because we have the likes of Christopher Norris. He's the 2nd highest runner of our 8 drivers that are running for a championship still. Then you have Vincent Sora running in 5th. He's the 3rd highest runner. Justin Campbell runs now in 8th. Just Jarrett Talmadge moves up to 7th. Other playoff contenders is Cody Reed in 10th place, and the final few being Nick Crawford in 21st position, 1 lap down, and Cedric Hunter, who's in a start and park situation. So we're seeing a major move around compared to last round for the round of 12, where we saw a lot of those competitors up front. It is very shifted on where drivers are placed almost halfway through this race so far.
That it was. And also with Nick Crawford back there in 21st, I went back and looked just to see, you know, what happened is he missed his box and he came back around and had a little bit of extra time on pit road. I didn't see any damage on the car, so I wonder if maybe that was a pit stop to say, go, you know, get up and get away from the sim, because he knows he's under the leather. So unfortunately, I think that made him lose a lap, but, you know, still in the contention. If we get a yellow flag, he's first car lap down, he could get that lucky one.
And he's a driver that, even if he doesn't have a good showing here tonight, Nick Crawford can win at almost every racetrack we go to. He could be a threat to watch out next week at Iowa, as Ollie Fonseca trying to move his way forward. Vincent Sora, though, the first time he's been inside of the top 5 since lap 6 of this race, and he's finally here on a nice lap to do it on 69. As we continue to watch the field grow, but now almost outside of our top 20, Justin Campbell is in 19th position. His truck is gone, and that's exactly what can happen if you push these vehicles too aggressively too soon.
You're exactly right, Sam. I mean, it just faded. It literally, he was battling for the lead up front, pushing that thing, and I think he noticed that, oh man, this thing is swinging to the loose side, and he got stuck on the outside and pretty much got trained all the way back to 19th, and right now just running in front of that 19 of Tyler Dingler. These guys are just trying to manage as best they can, but up in front of him, Malik Coates wrecking.
Trouble. It's going to be seen Malik Coates to Dakota Moniz, and Justin Campbell gets clipped late, and the caution flag looms, as that's exactly what Nick Crawford needed, but Justin Campbell collected into this one.
Oh man, and Campbell saw the 98 coming up the racetrack. He made the decision to go for the gap to the middle of him, and that was the wrong decision because the 98 cuts back left here. We'll get a replay of what exactly happened, but I think Malik there gets on the line there, the apron. That's going to upset that truck. He's going to get loose, come down into Dakota Moniz, which puts these two into the inside wall here. You're going to see Malik's going right, but then spins it back left. Justin made the decision to go there, gets clipped by the 5, but luckily for Campbell's sake, more or less the thing that happened to him is he's just going to lose tire wear because he spun it around and kept it together, but these two here, destroyed.
Destroyed, and frustration looms as we'll stay on an outside look. Again, seeing Dakota Moniz trying to slide his way through, but Malik Coates snaps loose, contacting the 5, and in the worst place you could hit, a little bit of a kink, and then pinch. The 9 machine going spinning around. Whew. Great save. You saw it on the end of that shot, seeing the 9 save it, but huge collision for multiple drivers, and now we're into the fun part of this race. We're 72 laps in. We're almost at halfway, and some of these drivers will be making their second pit stop for some, deciding to stay out after the stage. Others are going to make their third pit stop of the night. Some topping off on fuel. Others thinking about tires. You had 4 extra sets in pit road to work with, and it's strategy time for half the field here this evening.
It is strategy time. It's split strategy too, like you said, Sam, and that's going to make things interesting. You know, doesn't look like, other than Justin Campbell, at least from what I'm looking at, it doesn't look like any of our playoff guys are going to come down here. So I think that is the smart decision to save the set of tires, especially with them using a set earlier in that first stage like they didn't think they would. I think everybody now knowing, hey, if we do get enough cautions, tires are going to matter enough to where we got to have sets left.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at drivers coming into pit road, I don't even know if Campbell is taking a set of tires. I'm waiting to see if he does, but I think he's just going with repairs only for the 9 machine. No tires taken. So even with the slide, Campbell's willing to just stick with it, which I think might be a gutsy call for Campbell in the 9 with how quick he was fading backwards.
Yeah, it's a gutsy call, especially like you said, his tires were already worn from him just racing. Then he did almost a 720 to get back onto the track. And I can tell you, when you slide across the surface of a racetrack, the tire wear and the tire heat that builds up is immense in iRacing. I mean, you can lose up to 10% of wear on a tire from just a simple lockup even, you know. So he's definitely lost a ton of tire wear in my opinion. Another concern for me with him, it looks like he actually is coming back down to pit road this time. So I'm wondering if he's going to maybe take tires after getting a look at what the tire wear was at. But the other concern for me is, like, you know, if he puts fuel in the truck, that is only going to cause that issue of that looseness to get worse. The fueling will drop that spooler and weigh that truck down, and that's just going to make the loose condition that much worse. So hopefully, you know, he didn't put any more fuel in it, because that's only going to compound those issues.
So drivers to watch out here is going to be Jesse Thornock, who just is going to be in 14th, just took 4 tires and fuel. Same for Thomas Green, Joshua Freed, Mark Morales, and Nick Crawford, all taking 4 tires and fuel. Justin Campbell, I believe he just came in and topped off, as get another report on the 9, see exactly what his pit stop was like after coming in. And yeah, I believe, Zach, it was just fuel only for the 9 machine. Dakota Moniz and Malik Coates still in pit road getting damage repair. You see those pace car lights are off. We're going this time by Zach. Certainly, again, split decision on the field on what you're going to be going with strategy wise. But Nick Crawford, he was on the back foot, but we've seen this plenty of times this season. This is what's given him 6 wins so far. It's the different strategies compared to the rest of the field. It might have just happened again.
You know, this strategy here, taking the extra set of tires, you know, he got the wave around, of course, back here to 18th. But taking the extra set of tires here, if it does go green all the way to the end, is the winning strategy, actually. So we've seen it play out that way before with Nick Crawford. And like you said, Sam, he just knows those little knacks for finding when to do the right strategy timing and getting, you know, a little bit lucky, so to say, sometimes.
I mean, it's been one of those things of you got to win early in the season that enabled him to try a lot of gutsy strategies, and it's kind of lined up for another one here tonight. We're on lap 74. It is time for John Forbes and Ollie Fonseca to take us to the green, and a very delayed start on the outside. Huge contact between Ollie Fonseca and Vincent Sora on that launch. And it's going to be all John Forbes ahead, Danny Cochran second. A bizarre start that helps the 11 but hurts the whole outside row.
That was very bizarre, like you said there. And luckily for Vincent Sora, I think the nose is going to be good. But, I mean, he just center punched that thing right into the back of the 24, who I don't know if he wasn't in the right gear or what. Sometimes you're in the wrong gear, you just don't get going. And fortunately for Ollie, he had a little bit of a shove there to get him going. But right now, Forbes under threat from the two of Cochran. Remember, 20 laps on these tires already, 22 already, sorry, on these tires, and these guys are going to start to feel those conditions of looseness coming in.
Starting to feel it, and again, keep your eyes out for those that just got 4 tires and fuel. The first one going to be Joshua Freed back in 12th place as they're trying to make their push forward. Also, Jesse Thornock, another one of those that are going to be willing to try to go 3 wide with Tyler Dangler stuck in the middle. And drivers with fresh rubber trying to make some bold moves to move forward closer and closer to our top 10. And once they get up to the top 10, I think that we're going to have to keep our eyes open for the strategy call. Was taking a set of tires now the best gamble, as we are officially into the second half of this race, as that white 39 continues to lead those with fresh rubber.
And he does. Man, this is crazy to see. And I actually just seen Nick Crawford, he is called in tonight, Sam. That is going to be a manual disconnect from him. I think he's put enough laps in. He just doesn't feel well enough that it's going to call it a night. And man, oh man, the 74 luckily getting stage points. That's going to help his cause and finishing around the 19th, the 20th position. But it's still going to be quite a battle for him.
And I don't even know if 19th is where he's going to stay again. Dakota Moniz and Malik Kuntz can still get out there on track as they're both getting repairs done. But a big loose showing for Ryan Ferraro, who goes extremely low for a quick moment off the exit of turn 2. We stay green. 34 had quite a big scare for himself. Tyler Dangler lets 34 slot back in line as the Legacy Texas SpongeBob machine of Tyler Dangler trying to make his way forward if possible. But right now it's kind of a salvage race of just run your own line. See how this race comes to you. If you could stay attached to the lead pack in the draft, or at least keep this truck clean, I think a good finish is looming for a lot of these drivers further on back, because up front at some point we're going to see the switch kind of flip of you're attacking, and you're willing to make bigger moves than maybe you thought about making earlier on in the race. And some people might gamble away their race completely, as we're seeing drivers just inside of our top 10. That's going to be Jesse Thornock, who is the first driver with fresh rubber, who's now making the charge for the 20 machine to put pressure on our playoff contenders.
That he is. He's going to go up here and definitely put the pressure on. And he's going to have the likes of Joshua Freed coming with him, Mark Morales, Thomas Green. I believe Kanata did not take tires back there in 15th, so 16 I don't think took any from his stop. So we'll see, you know, what these this group of around 4 drivers here with these fresher tires can do. But right now, not making too much headway. But you know, you can't go out there and really use up the tires too fast. So if they let it come to them, it'll be better.
A big thing to watch out for as these drivers continue to move forward. Fresh rubber is going to be going forward as quickly as they can. Expecting big moves here in just a few laps. They're going to be putting pressure on our leaders as we continue to see Jesse Thornock and Joshua Freed push forward. We'll keep the camera on them as we are going to step aside for our first commercial break of the evening. How fast can 20 and the 39 catch up to our leaders? Let's find out as we take side by side so you don't miss a thing for the ISRC Lara Productions ISRC Legacy Texas 150. We'll be back right after this for more Texas racing. wide behind for fifth.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You've been watching the march through the field with Jesse Thornock and Thomas Green. The 20 machine has been trying his best to get up front and lead that race, but doesn't look like it's going to be the case. The 18 of Thomas Green rips the top, trying to use our leader as the pick. Who will lead this lap with the freshest of rubber of those that took 4 tires? Danny Cochran, a majority of the first half of the field, did not come into pit road. But the 20 keeps his foot in the throttle, but it gets a little bit loose, gives a chance for the 2 to fight back. But it will be Jesse Thornock leading a lap here this season. And Zach, we always hope for the best for Jesse. He's usually a driver that fights in the back half of the field, but he leads that lap and will try to lead another. But it looks like this 18 is on the hunt unless Thomas Green breaks loose. That was a wicked slide off the exit of the corner.
Just shows you, even though they got 20 lap fresher tires, they're starting to feel a lot of the conditions that a lot of these drivers are feeling in. What I'm seeing is the times kind of even out. You get to around a 31.1 to a 2 to a 3, and you kind of just run there around that pace. So we'll see how well these new tires can, pull out on the field. But Thornock doing a good job, and also it's a big difference too. Once he's gotten to the lead, he's got the clean air, and that's going to be a big balance shift for him. We'll see if that is something the 20 can deal with.
Also, another driver to keep in mind, fifth place runner of Joshua Freed, another driver who took 4 tires under our most recent yellow 20 laps ago. As if you're just joining us with us now, there were a lot of different drivers and scenarios coming into tonight. It is the playoffs round of 8 here tonight, and about 3 of our 8 drivers having issues. Christopher Norris here tonight in practically a must-win scenario for the 38 machine. Also, going to be Cedric Hunter, forced with a start and park this evening. Nick Crawford calling it a race early for the 74 as he's not feeling well. And now starting to see some other playoff contenders being raced around very aggressively by non-playoff contenders. Danny Cochran giving a little bit of a bump to the 11 of John Forbes, which Forbes currently runs in 3rd and is our highest runner of all of our round of 8 playoff contenders.
That he is, and also the highest runner of the old tires too. So that's, I think, a huge advantage to be sitting at with right now. So we'll see what he can do to hold back the likes of Cochran and Vincent Sora. But Freed here with those fresher tires just hasn't been able to find his way around. He's been taking a little bit of a very patient approach, and looks like now we'll have a run on Cochran, but it looks like he's just going to sit behind him and maybe look to the outside here down in the 1 and 2.
This has got to be something that always feels different when you're on 2 different tire strategy calls. Again, half the field decided to take tires at our halfway marker when our last caution came out. The other half deciding not, as our Morales behind is on the green Morecast machine snapping loose. It's one of those things where you're racing your competition that's maybe sometimes is lapping you, or sometimes you're not used to running around, but it's your chance to push forward and place yourself in a better position for later on when we expect pit stops to be out for these drivers, as pit road could be very busy here in the next about 7 to 8 laps, as Joshua Freed still trying to make the pass for 4th place. Not able to make the firm pass just yet, but trying to set up for it as the 39 continues to look a little bit more out of shape as he's used those tires so much here so far after our caution from 5 laps ago.
Looks like we're starting to hit a new range of fall-off. So I talked about how we can drop off to about 31.1 to 2 to 3. But we're starting to see 6s, 7s, and almost 8s now from a few guys out there. So it's just showing me that they're fighting. And man, Freed who has those fresher tires. He's fighting for his life up top because he about wrecked both these guys. He's up in the wall there in the back straightaway, and he's going to lose a ton of spots here back to Martin Morales.
Almost clobbers the wall, and now Martin Morales, Joshua Free, two drivers that took fresh rubber, are now the ones that look most in trouble as GT Rosario almost runs into Martin Morales, and it's Jarrett Talmadge, who's been Mr. Lucky, who's been kind of the guy who's had such a miracle run and one of his best seasons, even when he was initially part of the ISRC back in the first handful of seasons, to his return here this season. This has been an incredible run for Jarrett Talmadge, and a driver that really, he could sneak his way into the Final Four if he continues to run as consistent as he's been. But that 10, that is scare coming off the corner as another driver calls it a night. Ryan Ferraro now going to call it a night. We are down to just 17 drivers out on track, and first driver to hit pit road, it's the 38 of Christopher Norris. This is a shocker to see.
Very early pit stop here, and you know, it's going to be interesting to see how this works out for him. I mean, like I said, those times do seem to be dropping that back down to around a 31.3. And it looks like very close to almost sliding through his boxes. He's angled towards that wall, so not the greatest pit entry from the 38 there, but it'll have to do here is he's going to take 4 tires, and fuel would be very aggressive with this pit strategy. We'll see how this plays out here, Sam.
Has to make sure he doesn't overcook those tires. More drivers going to enter pit road, being the likes of Justin Campbell under this next lap, and Justin Smith now going to be entering pit road, and expected to be seeing how Christopher Norris can recover moving forward as the battle for 8th place continues to rage on. We also look ahead to John Forbes and others that are battling instead of our top 3. Jesse Thornick still in that lead position. He's been able to pull away from Thomas Green. John Forbes up to 3rd. We're starting to see that spacing between one another, but I think, Zach, the biggest surprise in my eyes is the fact that our drivers that took 4 tires, they did not build up a gap that I think everyone was assuming to see this far into a run.
They really haven't, and right now they're slower than the likes of the 11, the 15, the 2 behind them. So this is shown right here. Yeah, you can have the fresher tires, but if you go out there, overwork them trying to get through the field, they will quickly be in a worse position than the drivers behind you. And right now, Forbes 31.29, Vincent Sora 31.31. Both drivers ahead of him in the 31.4s to almost 5. So it is tenths of a second here each lap from these cars.
As we are about to be with 45 laps to go, and Joshua Freed, that white 39 machine, snapping loose. It'll stay on course and it hit that inside wall, stayed on course for now. But every lap that trickles away, but seeing the 91 and the 39 be the main drivers that have troubles off the exit of turn 2. Talking about drivers out of this race again, Ryan Ferraro in 18th place. He's parked it and called it a night. Same for Nick Crawford. Malik Kuntz looks to be done. Dakota Moniz still sits in pit road, but I think his race is over. Same for Aaron Kralik in the 01. And Cedric Hunter with a start and park. Over the radio, the drivers thinking about pit stops this lap. And Zach, I mean, looking at those that did not pit under our last caution, it looks like this is the window to make those pit stops.
That it is. Vincent Sora and Danny Cochran, they're going to come down along with Ali Fonseca. So as John Forbes trying to make this pass on Thomas Green, I wonder what his decision is going to be. Does he stretch it here to have a little bit fresher tires, or does he come by this time? Because I don't know if he can wait with the gap he had built up on Vincent Sora and those behind him. I think you might see the 11 come off pit road this time, but no, he makes the pass and he moves on the second and continues on.
And other drivers that are still out on track, yet to pit, those still out there is Cody Reed, also in 8th place, Samuel Garcia in 9th. Everyone else that is yet to pit still are just came into pit road. They should be good to take it to the end of this run, but it's our top 10 drivers. We know they need to pit at some point. As you see in the 30 of Christopher Norris leading those that have already pitted. The 38 is hoping that he can build up a big enough lead that those other drivers cannot catch up to him. And honestly, that drop off in equal footing that we might see, that we were seeing for a while there during this run, might be exactly what Christopher Norris is looking for to keep that lead position later on.
I think that's exactly what they're looking at. I think they saw that lap times get to around 31.3 to 4, and you kind of run the same over and over as Martin Morales. Big loose there as he passes Freed. But I think that's what the 38 team is most likely going for. It's kind of more of a Hail Mary. I mean, he was running back in 11th and 12th. had about a 3 to 4 second gap up to the leader, so he wasn't up there competing where he needs to be for that win. And I think right now felt like Hail Mary was going to be the best play as John Forbes is taking over the top spot, and we're seeing Reed cut through the field along with 15 of Vincent.
As Cody Reed currently trying to make passes, but he also is one of those drivers that still needs to pit. Is that 25 machine. Vincent Sora trying to run down Christopher Norris, and the 2-second gap between those two, and also it is a 5-lap difference on when they made their pit stops as more drivers hit pit road. John Forbes making his stop. Same for Cody Reed going into pit, was hoping to go into pit road, but it's going to be John Forbes, Jared Talmadge, GT Rossari, Joshua Freed, and Samuel Garcia making a stop. It's down to our final top 5, that still need to hit pit road.
And John Forbes, I can confirm, made the stop into his box, didn't slide through. It was close. I know a lot of guys have been flirting with the disaster there, so that's critical for John Forbes. And it's going to be interesting to see where does he come out with the likes of Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, Ali Fonseca. I mean, Vincent Sora gapped the 24 and the 2 on pit road. We'll see if the 11 did a good job like the 15.
As the field continues to race on again, Christopher Norris is going to be the lead driver of those that have already pitted, but for how long? The gap between himself and Vincent Sora is now less than a second. The 15 looks to be the driver to watch out for on this run as Thomas Green, Jesse Thornock, they now make their surge into pit road, and that will be gifting the lead to Joshua Kanata if the 16 decides to stay out, and it looks like Kanata will stay out for another lap and hopes to get that lap led and will do so. Last driver to make their pit stop will be the 16 of Joshua Kanata, and Christopher Norris will now slot himself into second, same for Vincent Sora into third. And Zach, this is it. This could be the pass for the lead and for the win if Sora can get this done, which what a turnaround from that first stage to this point of the race.
That it was. I mean, he did an excellent job on pit road. I looked at the lap times when it came to your overall lap of how you got in and out of pit road. It looked like his was the best by far, and that's where you win these races sometimes. You got to be better than others in certain different areas because the competition is so close, and he did such an excellent job to get that done. I think his concern is going to be, can he hold back the 11 of John Forbes, who's 2.5 seconds back with about a 4-lap tire difference. We'll see also, does the 38 play, a little bit of a defender here for that 11 and hold back this 15, because, this is critical timing for these drivers, and we'll see if the 15 can quickly get this done, because if you lose this time here, John Forbes could be the driver closing in quickly.
And looking at those lap times, and for Christopher Norris, Vincent Sora, back to John Forbes. Forbes looks like he is using every little bit of his tires to run down second and third place as Sora makes the pass over Christopher Norris. It looks like these two are kind of, yes, they're pushing their tires to have a gap, but they also look pretty patient based on the lap times I'm seeing that they're putting down of a 30.5 second lap time for Vincent Sora, a 30.8 second lap time for Christopher Norris, and then for the likes of John Forbes, he's running almost a full second faster than Christopher Norris. He is using those tires for the 11. He'll catch up to these guys, but what will those tires look like in the next 10 to 15 laps? I think that's the big window and question mark. Is John Forbes pushing these tires too aggressively, too early?
It's a huge question. He drops down to a 30.159 there, so it drops the pace a little bit that time by, but those first 2 laps out of pit road at 29.68, at 29.83, we didn't even see Sora drop into the 29s coming out of pit road. And I think that, again, it's just a little bit of conservation, just saving a little bit. The grip is there to start the run. We've seen it from drivers. They can take off, get going, but you can easily overwork the tire. And right now, John Forbes has got to be smart. He's running his fastest laps of the race. He's got to methodically work his way up here and use that advantage and not lose that advantage.
We lose another driver here tonight as Justin Smith will call it an evening. We're down to now 16 drivers out there on track, 13 on the lead lap, and everyone has made their stop so far except for our leader right now of Joshua Kanata. Kanata continues to stay out and can stay out for another at least 8 to 9 more laps, but this could be the pass for second place and soon to be the pass for the lead as John Forbes cruises on by Christopher Norris, and our stage winner looking strong so far, but continues to be the looming question. Did John Forbes use too much of his tires, or could it be a little bit of a swappage? Did Vincent Sora and Christopher Norris use too much of their tires, trying to fight between the both of them, not recognizing this 11 was the true threat that they were worried about?
I mean, John Forbes, look how fast he's closed up. He's only 3/10 off the back of Sora, and with the advantage in tires, this could be an easy pass, but he's got to be smart here. He can't, when he passes Vince Sora, just put down the fastest laps of the, of the ability of that truck. He needs to conserve a little bit and have something in the tank, because we know how good this 15 is on the longer runs. He could be one of the best, and if this 11 wants to be able to hold him off later, he can't play into the games of running too fast. But right now, already putting the pressure on the 15, these new tires just look so much better.
We keep our sights on this battle because this could be potentially for the win. Again, Joshua Kanata, who is our current leader, still needs to pit here tonight before the race is over. Everyone else has already made their pit stop, as John Forbes, being pinched to that outside wall, has the run, has the nose ahead over Vincent Sora. Sora stays low. Forbes trying to stay on the seam to rip the top and have the better exit off the corner. Hits the wall, almost grazes it. Is the 11 of John Forbes, as they still have their drag race into turn number 1. And they continue to fight back and forth with Zach. I mean, ultimately, as this run progresses forward, John Forbes is in the better positioning.
He really is. And if Vincent Sora pushes here to try to keep him back, it's just going to hurt his tires more. So we'll see what Forbes can do now with the clean air out front. Again, Joshua Kanata yet to pit still. I believe he'll have to come in here in around the next 5 laps, I believe, with the way the fuel has been playing out here with these trucks. But it looks like John Forbes right now, he feels probably like it's smooth sailing, but you cannot get, into that calm lull. You got to stay focused. You got to hit your marks and don't overwork the tires. If you're going to run fast times, just make sure you're picture perfect, and that's usually how it works out. Is now Christopher Norris back there in the background. You can see him. He's fighting like Ali Fonseca in the 24.
And for Christopher Norris, he just cannot afford to lose any more positions. Again, driver that's going to miss next week's race at Iowa, wants every point possible try to salvage from, but was in a must-win scenario entering tonight. Was one of the first drivers to hit pit road. He kind of had a feeling that strategy was not going to be the winning one here tonight. Kind of needed help from a caution, and it just never came out for Christopher Norris. He might need some help to get back into the fight here. Danny Cochran, though, driver that's fighting on the outside, trying to get back into the top 5 if possible, but seeing drivers that went with the gutsy call of pitting under our last yellow. They've now made their final pit stop for some, have used their final set of tires, and now we're on the push. It's Thomas Green in 6th place. GT Irizarry somehow still has a set to work with, but it's going to be the 20 machine, Jesse Thornock. We'll keep our eyes really looming on what will the 20 have on aggression, because he's already used his final set. Same with Thomas Green. They're willing, I guess, to push it, Zach, and trust that this race will conclude, and there will be no extra yellow at the end of this race.
I tell you what, Danny Cochran, that last time by there, he was sideways coming up off the corner there, and I mean, the tires were smoking from how sideways he was. So he's definitely looks like he got a little bit too loose there and is starting to struggle a little bit as now Thornick has gone by. And Thornick with the fresher tires, him and Thomas Green, these two could definitely play a big role in taking away some points here.
And just seeing the likes of former Final Four contenders having troubles here tonight. Already talked about that. Cedric Hunter was going to do a start and park here tonight. He will be back next week at Iowa. Nick Crawford dealing with illness. He had to stop this race early. Then Justin Campbell, he's a driver that's training his first ever Final Four attempt. He's mired back in 13th position, and as you're right on board with the 20 machine of Jesse Thornock getting by Christopher Norris, that all these positions being lost, I think Norris is just watching every position go by, is like watching his hopes of being a season 6 champion drift away as well.
It is tough when you're sitting in your truck, you're watching the field just kind of pull away from you, so to say. It can be disheartening, so to say, especially when you know you're on older tires and your chances of fighting for a championship are slipping away. But for him, he's just got to stay focused. This race could easily see a yellow flag at any point with someone's mistake, and if that mistake comes around, you got to be there to capitalize on it.
Looking back at past Texas races, now that was during the current configuration. We are racing on the Legacy one here tonight. Last time that these drivers raced out of Texas was back in season 3, where there were 3 cautions and the race ended inside of regulation. And then back in season 1, there were 7 cautions, and we had to use all 3 attempts at overtime to finish out that race. So there's been 2 completely opposite runs at Texas, but again, those were in the current configuration, not this Legacy configuration that the drivers are dealing with, which is kind of a major difference that these drivers are dealing with. Both sides of the track at 24 degrees banking, a little bit more narrower than the current Texas, and it's enabling these drivers to have the feel of similar to old Atlanta, also feeling like they can use every little bit of this track like we saw at the end of the stage. But at this point, it is all John Forbes who's looking for a chance to break the championship curse. Zach, we already saw the 11 do this earlier in the season, grabbing his first win, which a lot of drivers thought would never happen. After you win a championship, you're usually cursed for a season, if not 2 to 3, before you get another win. John Forbes trying to become the first 2-time champion and trying to be the first driver to be locked into the final 4 as he's about to cross the line here. The next 2 laps will be 20 laps to go.
And it will be. This is a really dire time for him because he needs to continue what he's doing. He's just slowly eking out the gap. Don't pull big margins, just pull little bits of a time here if you're John Forbes. That's what he's got to focus on, and just hitting those marks, not getting too sideways, because what I'm looking at right now, this is a mano-a-mano battle. I mean, we do have the fresher tires of Thomas Green coming forward here about 3 seconds back from Vincent, but I still see those tires starting to even out a little bit now for Thomas Green. So I think this right now, if it stays green, it's going to be between this 15 and this 11, and it's going to come down to which driver is going to want it more here for this championship to lock themselves in.
Who wants to be first locked in? The most recent champion, or could it be the inaugural champion? John Forbes, Vincent Sora. So many history points between these 2 drivers. Vincent Sora was obviously the first season, had its rivalry between Mark Whitley and himself, proving to be the 2 top dogs of the ISRC Truck Series. As we saw from John Forbes, it was season 2 when he really showed his strength, had one of his most winningest seasons for the 11 machine. And now we're seeing John Forbes ebb and flow and also grow throughout these 5 seasons previous to this one. It's been amazing to see those 2 drivers grow to where they're at right now. But if we're going to see a late caution, it could happen around this position. This is the battle for 4th place currently. It's Jesse Thornock, GT Rizari, and Zach. I think that's a phrase I don't imagine ever saying again. Jesse Thornock is challenging for 4th place in a race that's been pretty green, and it's been working out the strategy-wise that this 20 machine is going for a top 5 run.
What a run, like you said. I mean, this is excellent. They made the strategy call to take the tires there, get to the lead, and now with it staying green like it is, it looks like that strategy call personally would have been the best one. I mean, Thornock definitely gained the most out of it. Same with Thomas Green, and just really doing an excellent job along with GT Rizari there. He's done an excellent job all night. It seems like he's done a good job to kind of learn this package very quickly when it comes to how you got to drive it. And that's, I think, the biggest thing to learn tonight is different drivers have figured this out quicker, and it's going to make, I think, these next couple weeks even more crazy.
Your race report, just 3 cautions here tonight. One being the stage caution at the end of lap 50, and 2 on-track incidences that have really influenced how this race was going to be ran. We have our first on-track incident being in the middle of our stage on lap 23. Then we have our second on-track incident happening at the end of lap 79 that really just put this race, tossed it up to who was willing to take the gamble. Half the field decided to come into pit road and take tires and fuel. The other half decided to stay out. It looks like the strategy call of staying out might be the winning one for John Forbes and Vincent Sora, as the gap now over 1.5 seconds for the 11 machine with 16, soon to be 15 laps to go here this evening.
This is getting down to the point of the race where now, will we see that yellow flag is the big question, I think, because that is the thing that could shake everything up and turn it upside down on its head. But at the moment, it seems like we're pretty stable. Like you said, that battle around that 5th to 6th position was really starting to heat up. I think Azali Fonseca is actually getting passed by Jarrett Talmadge now for that 6th position, as the 10, using a little bit fresher tires to get around that 24, has moved himself back up to the 6th spot. And again, these are all critical points for these playoff drivers. You know, you got to get as much as you can, and if you don't get much out of tonight, you're going to have an uphill battle going into Iowa.
We're actually going to try to move our camera over to that 6th place battle because it is still side-by-side racing between Jared Talmadge and Ollie Fonseca, and there is a lot of side drafting, pinching action, and off the exit of turn 2, it was Jared Talmadge that almost snapped into Ollie Fonseca. That 10 machine does not look stable, and Ollie Fonseca with the aggressive pinch is holding back Talmadge. Talmadge is not being good graced right now by the non-playoff driver. Ollie is putting the pressure on and saying, yes, you might have been a veteran in the past, but I'm the one who stayed. You got to stay back and give me this position. And Jared Talmadge, he continues to put the throttle down and looks to almost finally be clear, but they continue to fight back and forth, almost contact through the quad oval.
Aggressive side draft from Ollie Fonseca, and I would think none other, because Fonseca definitely one of the most aggressive when it comes to getting close to the door. And right there, not giving much room to the 10, and even a good bit off the wall. So it just shows you how aggressive the 24 is being here to hold back the 10. But I mean, hey, this is racing, folks, and this is what you got to do. You got to make the pass. I think right here, if you're Talmadge, this is where you clear.
Trying to slide his way in front of the 24 and finally clear from Ollie Fonseca, but will we see the crossover move? The 24 trying to set up high. I mean, go low, now goes high, trying to get to the outside quarter panel, not able to do so. But if Ollie Fonseca can keep his foot in the throttle, might go for a crossover move, but the older tires just too far gone. And there goes the 10 machine, now clutching into 6th position with 12 laps to go. Looking at some of the other close battles that are going on track, we have a close battle also happening in 11th place as well behind these drivers. Looks to be Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran starting to slowly close in, but this is the closest battle on track for the battle for 11th place. Joshua Freed and Samuel Garcia between one another.
This is that closest battle, like you said, and looks like right now both on even sets of tires too, but Samuel Garcia is throwing a little bit more pace with a 31.36 last time by to Freeze 31.54, so a couple tenths quicker there from the 50. Is he's closed in, just hasn't been able to get alongside yet. And also they got the likes of Kanata with the freshest tires on the track. I mean, he's about a second faster than anybody right now.
Yeah, Joshua Kanata, I mean, he pitted with 25 laps to go, and it's just been on full bore mode since he made the pit stop and put down the fastest lap of the race, and now trying to slot himself between drivers. Hey, there's an opening. He'll split both as the 16 says thank you very much to Garcia, and I'll see you later to Joshua Freed. Kanata taking 2 for 1, and now trying to run down Cody Reed with 10 laps to go. At the pace Kanata's going, he might catch up to Cody Reed. We'll see if friends want to make that move between one another as the Tennessee Garcia and Freed battle continues on. But we move back up front. Danny Cochran trying to run down Christopher Norris for 8th place. And the two, this has got to be a heartbreaking mode, but he drifts off at turn 2. And what a save from Cochran.
A lot of people struggling here, Sam, right now. I've been watching the likes of it. It doesn't even seem like the tire differences matter too much. It more seems like it's gotten to the point of the run now where who slips less, who slides less. You just got to put the power down, not get sideways, and carry that speed down the straightaways. And I've watched this too for a little bit. He is definitely starting to find the struggle, so to say. And I think he'll have the likes of Cody Reed here quickly closing up to him, and even the possibility of Joshua Kanata here before the end of this race.
And who's going to be inside of the top 10? It's going to be a big question of note. 8 laps to go. About to be 7 laps now with John Forbes leading the way up front. The 11 machine just continues to hit his marks. The gap at one moment was 2 seconds between John Forbes and Vincent Sora. That last go around, though, Sora slightly faster. Now, it was only just a couple of hundredths of a second, so not a big enough gap on speed to really cut down on this difference, but the small little differences, I think if it had happened earlier, we would have been talking a lot bigger about. Now up to 2 seconds again between Forbes and Sora. Just, I mean, Zach, John Forbes, this is what he's been doing for the last few seasons. It's just been so consistent, and when it matters the most, this 11 clutches up.
He really does, and you heard him. He talked about it. He really worked on this truck during the week, running C-Fix during week 13, and personally, there's no better way to learn than to do races. You know, you can go out there and practice by yourself, do all that. You know, you can learn things from doing that. Don't get me wrong. but racing is where you learn the most. And that is one thing I think I got from his interview. We talked to him earlier is he put in the hours to learn the truck, not learn this track and learn the setup. He learned the truck though. And that I think is paying dividends for him right now. And even with the gap he has, this kind of plays into your factor of being able to, keep that gap similar because he can just kind of back it down. He's got a 2-second lead. These guys got to run so much faster than him to catch him. And when you back it down just that little bit more, when it's a loose car, you start to actually find more speed sometimes. So John Forbes really in a perfect position. The only thing he wants to see here, Sam, is a white and then a checkered flag.
That's exactly what he wants to see. And as with 4 laps to go, there's just a couple of battles on track that could change that factor. One of those being Cody Reed and Danny Cochran that are racing between one another. I'm expecting that battle to calm down here in the next couple of corners. But John Forbes exits out of turn number 4 and now enters 3 laps to go before he can say that he's locked in and he's clutched up to punch a ticket to the final 4. And Zach, looking at the history books, this is something I didn't really get to bring up a lot last week, but John Forbes is the only driver to ever make it to the round of 8 every season that they've ran. This 11 machine has just been doing historic things. Now, he hasn't made the final 4 every season that he's ran, but this 11 has been here at this opportunity in this moment so many times. Now with 2 laps to go, he has a chance to lock himself for another chance to fight for a chance to be the first 2-time champion in the ISRC Truck Series.
And also building the gap still. So doing a great job, hitting his marks, continuing to pull away from the field. And guess what? This bodes well for him. Homestead is the final 4 race. He wins here tonight. He's going to go practice for that race, I guarantee you. And forget about Iowa because this 11's going to be stupid quick when we go to Homestead. So this does not bode well for everybody.
As the 11 crosses the line, he sees the flag stand. The white flag is in the air. Sponsored by Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If you'd like to sponsor the white flag, message the leagues as John Forbes gets to enjoy just 1 lap, hitting his marks. There's no traffic in front, no worries behind. It is all the 11 of John Forbes as he exits turn number 4. It just took him 1 race in the round of 8. John Forbes will be the first driver locked into the final 4 for season 6. Enjoy this one. Forbes wins here at Legacy, Texas.
What a drive from the 11, man. That is excellent to see. And I tell you what, again, this just really sets him up well for Homestead. Similar low grip tracks, this new package. This makes him, in my opinion, if not the favorite, definitely going to be one of the favorites going into that race.
Oh, without a doubt. I can agree with that as drivers are coming away across the line. Congratulations bumps to the 11 of John Forbes, and he'll take 1 of the 4 spots for the final 4. And now we got 7 drivers that will race it out to see who will make it for a chance to run for a championship. And we knew Forbes was going to be one of the favorites to make it to that championship round. There's a few other drivers we could put a note to watch out for, but this 11 gets to enjoy this run, gets to enjoy this burnout. And for us up at the booth, we will step away. When we come back, we could talk to the 11 machine of John Forbes, the 15 of Vincent Sora, and the 18 of Thomas Green, and a spotlight driver to get their thoughts on tonight's race. We'll talk to you right after this break. We'll be back in just a few. Wide with one another as side-by-side racing continues on. Christopher Norris has been able to move up 3 spots for himself. Dakota Moniz, another driver in the 5 that's moved up 3 spots. And for Dakota Moniz in the 5 machine, this race is so critical because of the driver he's runs. Christopher Norris in all offense incoming contact into the outside wall. Everyone's scouts get around. Norris locks it down, but the second pack is rolling in. It looks to be almost contact, and it is. Major one for the second pack. The admins have to throw the yellow, and that will be your first caution of the day.
Oh man, Sam, that was a huge collision. I don't know who caught, hit Norris in that second pack, but it all started up there with Christopher Norris and Ali Fonseca. It looks like coming off of 2, making some contact. I don't know if it was Netco actually. So then when we go back and look at this, we'll see that as they come off the exit of 2 here. It's just going to be a gap between them. Puts Norris up in the wall, and then from off the wall, here comes the 38 down off of it into the 24, who's Gonna slam that wall off the right front of his truck, and then Norris is locking it down, sliding across. It looks like that was the 14 Irizarry and Tyler Dangler.
Tyler Dangler, who was tied in points for the cutoff line. That major damage is going to be critical for himself. Required damage for Tyler Dangler. And that one incident wreck on lap 17 could be the ends and hopes of Tyler Dangler trying to make the playoffs.
Oh, that is so heartbreaking for Tyler, who's had a season of ups and downs and some bright spots. You can see right here for GT.
Already a car length and a half ahead of Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora.
Great start there for John Forbes, but I think down the back straightaway, he's going to find out real quick how strong this draft is here, as the 2 is going to have a massive head of steam here heading down into 3 and 4. What's he going to do with it? He looks to the inside, but the 11 shuts the door. Now the 15 of Vincent Sora, teammate of Danny Cochran's going to look to the outside of the 2.
Trying to bounce to the outside, not able to do so just yet. Gonna have to settle back in line, utilize the draft. Vincent Sora stays high, gives an opening for Cody Reed for a quick moment. Cody Reed backs out for a better option, but John Forbes stays too high, and now the teammates, they'll stay in line on the inside groove. Cochran gasses up, stays full throttle, and gets a bump draft from his teammate. It's going to be seen. Vincent Sora and Danny Cochran working together on that inside groove as the 2, he'll keep his nose ahead to try to lead a lap here.
There we go, going to try to lead this lap, and Vincent Sora wants to also get a lap led out there because he knows that John Forbes has done a good job of already doing that himself. He wants to even that battle out here, try to, heal those wounds, such as John Forbes has opened up so far here. But 15 not able to jump up like he wants here. The 2 just not able to get far enough ahead.
Top 5 drivers, new tires. Then there's a little bit of a gap of Cedric Hunter, Joshua Kanata trying to hold back Justin Smith as the blue 6 machine is trying to kind of be a shocker to try to find his way into the playoffs, and getting some major playoff points would be crucial. The only problem, the driver he's trying to stay in front of, Dakota Moniz, is right behind him, trying to follow in track.
The lead just a little while ago just shows you how fast things can change up now. Back to this 5th position, they're going to have to figure out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. This is Season 6 playoff racing action for the round of 8. The first race is in the books for the ISRC Legacy Texas 150. And the win, going to be going to last season's champion. Going to be locking himself, being the first driver to do so into the Final 4. We head to victory lane to talk to John Forbes. John, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Stage winner, race winner. How are you feeling knowing you're the first driver locked in to race for a championship in 2 weeks?
It feels really good, guys. I honestly think this is one of the best races out of the entire season to win. I think I won this one last year too. The first race of the round 8, first or second. But yeah, it really helps. I mean, basically I just can start practicing Homestead. Don't have to worry about Iowa. I haven't tested it yet, but I've heard that track's pretty difficult with the new update and stuff, and I don't have to worry about it. I can go have fun next week and try to help my teammates get into the Final 4 as well. So, wow, it was a perfect race almost. I mean, I had a couple guys change it up on the tire strategies, but from my practice, I knew that like even having 2 laps fresher tires was just so much faster. So when I saw everybody that was kind of close to me, Vincent coming behind me, I was like, all right, we're gonna run it till it's out of fuel, and we'll come down, get some tires, and drive on by them. And that's exactly what we did. And I was just on the edge of my seat those last 20 laps, just waiting for a caution. Didn't get it, luckily. We held it together. So yeah, awesome night.
Definitely an awesome night, John. Congrats, man, on another victory here at ISRC and getting yourself into another Final 4. Definitely to see if you can go win that second elusive championship for yourself. But man, what do you think is the biggest things you can take away from Texas, Legacy Texas, especially here with like a low grip track like this, to bring to Homestead? Do you think this is a good comparison for that?
I think it could be. I think Homestead might even be a little bit more loose, but I mean, it's going to be so much fun. I love these trucks, and now that they're a little bit harder to drive. I mean, even when I was by myself trying to pull away from Vincent, I'm just thinking about every input, every touch of the pedal and the throttle, just trying to keep the thing straight and keep the line. And it was pretty difficult to hit the bottom like you needed to, and you really had to be really precise. So I'm sitting here just covered in sweat, just Just thinking about those last 30 laps of that run, and yeah, you just had to be so precise, and I feel like that's a big change from the last truck where you get the lead and you're like, all right, just put the truck in front of whoever's behind you, and I mean that's still the case, but when you get out front, it's a handful for just the whole field. So yeah, just being really precise about what you're doing out there, and it's a lot of fun.
I mean, John, I know that you're now focusing on Homestead, but going into next week, you have two teammates that are still going to be trying to push for a chance to run for a championship as well. How much are you going to be trying to help your teammates out next week to try to help them make the Final Four as well?
Yeah, for sure. I'm hoping we'll all be able to get some practice in together because that's gonna be the biggest thing. I mean, just since the update, like a lot of these guys just didn't have as much practice. Just like looking at Cody, someone like that, he was kind of struggling on the first few runs, and then it starts to click a little bit more as the race goes on. But yeah, definitely, I think getting them a little bit more prepped. Because I've heard that's a pretty big change from how it used to be. Watching some YouTube videos and stuff on how Iowa runs now. So it's definitely gonna be a learning process, and we're gonna have to dedicate some time. And I feel like the guys who do get into the Final Four along with me, they're gonna be deserving, and they're gonna be the ones who put in the time and the effort to get there.
Well, John, congratulations again on being the first driver locked into the Final Four with this win here tonight. Before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Yeah, just gotta thank all the sponsors, JD Performance for being on board the whole season. Danny with Hot Lap Threads, always good to have him on board, and Strike On, my brother, for making the paint schemes on these awesome trucks. We got a great one together for this win here tonight and through the playoffs. Got to thank eFlex Fuel as well, and Tyler for helping me out with a little bit of cash for winning the bounty here tonight.
Well, congratulations on this win, John. Enjoy it, and good luck next week and in 2 weeks when we head to Homestead.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move from victory lane, we go to second place to talk to the season one winner and champion. Here tonight, going to come away second. Vinny, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. I mean, you had a roller coaster of a start of this race. The first stage, you had Zach and I kind of puzzled on how you were running that stage to then almost winning the race. How are you feeling coming away with second place?
I feel okay. I'm a little frustrated with myself, just because I don't like finishing second, and I feel like I should have just driven the race a lot smarter instead of giving up all that track position numerous times. I think I could have pushed a lot more and gotten away with it. Obviously, a couple of times it just fell in the hand of yellows, and there's no way to predict that. But yeah, I think I had really good speed tonight. I just didn't really know what the truck was going to do at the beginning of the race because my first laps were the start of practice tonight. So yeah, it was fun. I think the refresh is good. It'll promote better racing. I think I just need to get a better handle on it and probably clean up a few mistakes that I made.
Yeah, Vinny, you talk about that refresh and the update to these trucks. We talked to John during the stage break. He kind of brought up what he felt the biggest differences and stuff. What do you feel like's changed the most? Because like you said, it was the first time he got into the truck tonight.
Yeah, I think it drives a lot more off the right rear now, which is pretty apparent because in the previous mile and a half races, we just drive down into the corner, give it a lift, and then you can flat foot the exit, and you won't ever feel the back of the truck slide out. But tonight, it was the only thing that you felt was the back of the truck sliding out from under you, which I think honestly was a little bit in part due to the setup. We were running the setup for the new Texas, where it's kind of a slower speed 1 and 2, where we were carrying a lot more speed than we would have been. But yeah, I think the refresh probably will help either way. Even when we're on the normal setup, I think we're probably going to see a lot more right rear burning and a lot more driver having a factor in the race than just air and stuff like that. So it should be fun. Like I said, just need to figure a few things out myself and come back and finish out the season.
Well, Vinny, speaking of the rest of the season, next week, going to be the last race of this round to figure out who's running for the championship. You have a 10-point buffer based off the points being updated here tonight. What is it like having that buffer going into Iowa, which seems to be very different from what it's been in the past with this new update?
Yeah, I feel good. I think as long as I just drive a smart race at Iowa, I should be able to make it. But also, I mean, Iowa can definitely be a wreck fest for sure, just with the nature of how it races. I think guys are going to be racing really hard to make it into that Final Four. It's just kind of the precedent that's set with the format that we're in. So Yeah, it should be fun. I haven't got to race at Iowa in the truck in a long time. I haven't got to race in this league at Iowa, so I think I'm already starting behind the 8 ball a little bit on everybody. But hopefully, with maybe a little bit of practice and some smart driving, I'll be able to make it in no problem.
We cannot wait to see how you're going to perform next week, Vinny. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout out.
Yeah, shout out to John. He drove a pretty much perfect race there, so look forward to hopefully racing him at the finale. Fingers crossed. Shout out to everybody in the league. We had a pretty good turnout tonight. Shout out to all the sponsors and you guys for broadcasting.
Well, thank you very much. That's going to be your second place finisher here tonight, Vincent Sora. Good luck, Vinny, next week at Iowa.
Thanks, boys.
As we move from second place, we go down to third, where we get to talk to the 18 machine, changing up the number for this race here tonight. We have Thomas Green with us. Thomas, you come away third place. It's positions and being in the podium was something we were used to seeing you be in the past. What is it like coming away with third place here this evening?
It's awesome. It's so much fun racing out here with all these guys, and what a fun strategy wise to play there, and yeah, finally things just kind of clicked. I just had an overall decent race. I think if anything, I kind of backed my pace off more for this one, and knew it was going to be a struggle with the rear just kind of sliding under you, and knew that kind of taking it easier and playing things safer would be key to getting a good finish tonight. So definitely happy with the finish, and yeah, it's been a frustrating season, but this one definitely feels good.
Definitely a great finish, Thomas. Congrats on that, man, with another podium for yourself here at ISRC. But, take us through the strategy call, because you're one of the drivers that elected to come down, take tires there on that caution, and that seemed to really help out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I knew strategy-wise I was kind of in a pinch. I saw everyone was going to stay out, and I knew how important the fresh tires were. So I figured that the whole thing about me pitting there was hoping it goes green and hoping that I can pit, come out in a better track position after I passed a couple guys with fresh tires, and then try to pit with them, and then see if I can get onto that strategy, and then pray that a caution doesn't come out. And fortunately, it finally worked out. I feel like my strategies never really work out for me, but this one finally did.
And that it certainly did work out for yourself. Thomas, I know you're not running for a championship for yourself, but you are running in the best of the rest competition for the playoffs, being the first driver to be in 17th in points at the end of the playoffs run. You're currently 18th. Driver in front of you is Tyler Dangler, who leads that challenge. What is it like having that kind of a different battle, or is that something you're even thinking about during this playoff run, trying to get that extra $40 at the end of the season?
Oh, it's absolutely something I'm thinking about every race. I mean, the goal every race is to try to finish obviously as best as I can without impeding the playoff drivers. Still try to go out and win if I can. That's kind of what my main goal was once I realized I wasn't going to be in the playoffs. Was just kind of try to go out there and prove as much as I can that I should be at the front still. I should be in the playoffs, and of course it's still lingering in my mind that 17th is there, and it's definitely something I keep in mind while I'm racing, but I still want to just race respectful. I love racing in this league. I love how clean it is, and I don't want to impede the playoff drivers. And one of them's my teammate, so if I impede him, then that's a bad team decision there.
Absolutely could be. Well, Thomas, still an incredible run for yourself, going away third here tonight. Congratulations on that. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Shout out to John and Vincent for an awesome race. That was a lot of fun. Shout out to my teammate Jarrett, and shout out to my girlfriend Anna for all the love and support.
Well, that'll be the 18 machine of Thomas Green coming away third place here tonight. Congratulations, Thomas, and good luck in these final 2 races of the season at Iowa and Homestead.
Thank you, guys. Also, shout out to you guys, putting on a great show every week.
I mean, it helps when you guys give us a great show to call. That's going to be, again, the 18 machine. Enjoy this, Thomas, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week.
Thank you, guys.
As we move from third place, we're going to fall down to 5th for a driver who got their best finish of the season. We're going to see if we can queue up Jesse Thornick with us. Jesse, it's Sam and Zach of the booth. You got us?
Hey, I got you guys.
Well, Jesse, it's your best finish of the season, coming away 5th here tonight. Man, how are you feeling with a fantastic finish like you had?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I don't know what happened there, but that was pretty exciting. I thought once we all kind of got back on the same tires there, I was gonna fall off a little bit, but seemed to hold steady and actually move forward. So that was really cool. A real fun race.
Definitely a really fun race for us to commentate, and I'm sure it was fun for you, like you said, Jesse. But congrats on the best finish of the season for you, man. Big change and update with this truck. How did that feel to learn that as the race went on?
Yeah, the truck was definitely a handful. That whole first stage actually. So I was hoping we were gonna get maybe like a sneaky caution or something because I had an extra set of tires, um, in the pits because I that first stage when everybody pit, I pit too, but I just took fuel and hung out to go back to the back. And so I was just kind of trying to fill out the truck on the long run. Ran the full 50 laps on the same set of tires, and I think that helped towards the end because I was able to figure out how to exit turn two and set up the pass. So but yeah, it was definitely good. I'm really happy with this update. It drives way more to my style. The guys that are so fast are just so good at holding it wide open all the time on these mile and a halfs and I'm not. So that's I just always get whooped. But having to get off the throttle and kind of nurse it definitely is more my style.
Well, Jesse, we got 2 more races left this season, heading to Iowa, then Homestead for the season finale. What's your confidence level trying to carry from tonight to these final 2 races of the season?
Yeah, I think Iowa should be fun. Again, I think the truck is just going to play a huge factor. I know it definitely gets loose off of 4 there, so that'll be interesting to see if we can run the bottom or if everyone's just going to be glued to the top in 3 and 4. And then Homestead is, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Homestead, but I'm thinking that maybe this setup will change things a little bit for me. We'll see. I really or really enjoy running the Xfinity cars, these are kind of running a lot more like Xfinity cars now. So um, I'm hoping it's gonna translate and have a good couple of races here.
Well, we can't wait to see how you're going to run, Jesse. Again, congratulations on 5th place here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Oh man, yeah. Shout out to my team. It's always fun racing with Dakota and Aaron. I've been racing with those guys, since 2020 basically, and it's been a lot of fun with those guys, and happy to be able to do this every week. Have an understanding spouse. That's always good. And yeah, appreciate you guys broadcasting and everyone putting on the league.
Well, that will be your 5th place finisher here tonight in the 20 machine, Jesse Thornock, with his best finish of the season. Congratulations, Jesse, on this run, and good luck on these final 2 races of the season.
All right, thank you guys.
Well, as we move away from our interviews here tonight, we get ready to take a look at our unofficial results here this evening. Our first race of the round of 8, just like that, is concluded. And we just have one more race left in this round before we figure out our 4 drivers that will race for a championship. We already know one driver that's locked in. That will be John Forbes after his win here tonight for the 11 machine. What a run for himself. Able to grab the win over Vincent Sora in 2nd place. Thomas Green will take 3rd. 4th will be Jarrett Talmadge. 5th, we find Jesse Thornock with Ollie Fonseca. 6th. 7th is Christopher Norris. 8th, we find Cody Reed. 9th, we find Danny Cochran. And finishing our top 10, it's the 16 of Joshua Kanata, who was really trying everything to gain some more positions for the 16 there late. But Zach, obviously a great run for our top 10, but a couple of surprise finishes when you look at the rest of the field.
Definitely a couple of surprises as we look through the rest. I mean, you got the likes of Justin Campbell there finishing 13th after his up and down night. It'd be interesting to see how it shakes out for him. Nick Crawford back in 19th, a playoff contender, and then of course Cedric Hunter back in 23rd with the starting part. So 3 playoff contenders here outside the top 10, and man, that's not the way they wanted to start their round. And I mean, Nick Crawford's definitely, I think, really liking the fact that he got stage points and the fact that he had those 10 bonus points coming in, because he would be in a huge position, a bad position, if that wasn't the case.
It really would be. 8 drivers entered into tonight's race as the finals that were left in the playoffs. And for John Forbes, he's locked in. Vincent Sora only going to have a 10-point advantage over the likes of Justin Campbell and Nick Crawford. But Christopher Norris, I think it's going to be a driver that's got to be thinking the what ifs, as he will have too big of a margin unless drivers are not going to be showing up. Christopher Norris looks to be, his hopes of fighting for a championship are over for the 38. But Jarrett Talmadge, Justin Campbell, Nick Crawford, Cody Reed, and the return of Cedric Hunter is going to be a huge fight to watch out for. Cedric Hunter is still going to have a mountain to try to climb out of, but at least still has a fighting chance with Start Park here tonight. And Iowa, I think next week's going to be entertaining, with Iowa being the next race. Short tracks always bring out the drama here at the ISRC, especially in the round of 8.
It really does bring out the drama. So when we go to Iowa, I mean, a short track, bumpy. This new package seems to be a little bit sideways, so to say. I tell you what, we could have some tempers flaring there for these drivers trying to find their way into those final 4 positions. So I'm excited, Sam, because it's kind of the unknown we go to there next week. It's usually pretty gripped up with these trucks, but hey, a lot of people talking about it's going to be a handful there, and I'm sure John Forbes, like he said in his interview, he's happy he don't have to deal with that.
Oh, very happy. As we take a look at our upcoming schedule this week, again, concluding tonight, being over, we have Tuesdays. If you're looking to get your Tuesdays booked by Freaky Fast Broadcasting, please message us either on Facebook or on X. Look up Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and we would love to give you the coverage on Tuesday night. Wednesday, talking about the unknowns. Well, guess what? Wednesday's going to be an unknown as well, as we take the next gens for the WSSR Cup Series to that of Long Beach. Road course racing, narrow racetrack. There's a couple of places on that course where we're going to see some great racing action, but you do not want to miss Wednesday. It's going to be chaotic, and it's going to be a mess. Speaking of chaotic and mess, that's what Thursday's also going to bring, as we're going to be seeing our penultimate race of the season for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, as we will see the next gen Cup cars going to North Wilkesboro. How will short track racing influence the championship battle? You're gonna have to check out and see. But this upcoming week, the rest of this week, still great racing action you do not want to miss, before we come back here next Monday night for the conclusion of the round of 8 to see who's making the final 4. Zach, any final thoughts though before we call it a night?
Well, first off, shout out to John Forbes. I mean, that guy was picture perfect tonight. I think he really showed that you can go fast and you can still make the tires last. So I'm interested to see how people will learn from what he did here tonight and carry that into these final 2 races. Of course, Iowa is just going to be such a big difference that I don't think there's too much you can carry from a mile and a half, but definitely a lot of things you can carry in the Homestead. And thoroughly excited when we get back here next Monday to see who's going to be our final 4, because again, we've never had a repeat champion, and I think this season, it's going to happen, in my opinion.
I think we have a really good chance of it, as we still have 3 of our 4 previous champions here still left in the playoffs, and they look very likely to be making the final 4. Yeah, next week, Iowa, you do not want to miss. But for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and for everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining with us, as you got to see the ISRC Legacy Texas 150 won by the 11 of John Forbes. Congratulations to that 11 machine locked into the final 4. Next week, Iowa, who will be the 3 other drivers joining with him to run for a championship at Homestead in 2 weeks? Can't wait for it. But if you can't wait for more racing action, don't worry, we got you covered. We have Wednesday and Thursday for great racing coverage, but our next broadcast will be Wednesday night, WSSR, Next Gen Road Course Racing at Long Beach. You don't want to miss it. It will be here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.